And I hate that. I didn't think I could hate it more. I don't hate that, not even a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday. The Rob Brown Show is on the radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. What up, America? Howdy, world. Great to be with y'all. One more time again, and this time on a Friday. Got to get down on Friday. And get down we shall, my dearest of friends, and maybe even a couple of enemies out there. And not today, you're not. I don't care. Not today. Today's a good day. We stayed up way past our bedtime last night watching National Football League football, and it was, let me just say, very worth it.
I don't know about we. You did.
Did you not stay up and watch the end of that game?
No, I watched till halftime. I got up this morning, watched the entire second half. Now, if I would have stayed up last night, I wouldn't have been able to go to sleep. If I were,
can confirm.
No, if I were a regular fan, but I'm not. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. That's every game for Kansas City. They either win or lose at the end of the game. There are no blowouts. There could have been, but there are no blowouts. It's just what happens in usually the last series.
There could have been. It also could have been the exact mirror image of what it was. There were also a few spots, and I'm going to say, and we'll talk about this game at length today because it happened. We have NFL football. There were probably 5 instances that jumped off the page at me of one person made one mistake, and it became a game-impacting mistake. I think you had a couple where I thought Mahomes, and again, it's going to happen every quarterback in every game. A couple of spots where I thought Mahomes unnecessarily put himself into trouble with Ravens defenders, right? Was like spinning the wrong way. Lamar Jackson, this is going to be a weird conversation about Lamar Jackson because on one hand, Lamar Jackson was the reason the Ravens were in position to win the game and also the reason they didn't win the game. He was both, right? Like he was the reason that they found themselves late in the game, deep inside of Chiefs territory, seconds left on the clock, down 7. He was the one that gave them a chance to win this football contest. And then on both second and third down, he was the one that missed wide open wide receivers in the end zone. Either one of them would have scored a tutty, and either one of them would have given them the chance to either tie or win the thing.
Did you watch his eyes? Well, from what I could see, he was keyed in on one receiver. That's why he didn't see the guys that were open. And it looked like to me the entire time he was keyed on one guy. So those guys that got open, he never saw them till afterwards watching the replay because he wasn't looking at them.
I think
he's not checking down. He's not looking at the entire field.
On the second down play, which is the one where he missed Likely, who was running across the back of the end zone and could not have been more open. All right, that one right there could not have been more open.
The guy who wishes that he had a smaller shoe size.
Isaiah Likely running across the back of the end zone and was wide open. And there's a couple of spots about that play. I do not think that he was locked in. I mean, look at this great one. He is running from that Chiefs defensive line because Chris Jones was making the Ravens offensive line look stupid last night.
Yeah,
made him look silly.
I have a big concern for Kansas City going forward, though, because when Chris Jones is out of the game,
you guys are in trouble.
Yeah, and they need somebody else to step up on the defensive line.
I mean, it was Chris Jones, but he was doing such a damn good job. He was commanding the double team at the line and a chip block by the running backs, and he was still creating havoc on Lamar.
And he was tired by the end of the game.
Oh, hell yeah. I would say at the end of that game, the second and third down plays, which were the two where either one of them, Lamar should have scored a touchdown. Not could have. Should have scored a touchdown. He had Likely on one. He had Flowers on the first one. I think it was Flowers again on the second one, if I recall correctly, before he threw it up to Isaiah Likely, who missed the game-tying or winning touchdown by not even a toe. Like the tip of a if he had, as Lonzo pointed out, if he wore a 12.5 instead of a 13, the Ravens are going for 2 to win the game last night. Like, that's it. If he wears a 12 and a half instead of a 13, I don't know if that's his actual shoe size. I'm just using it for illustrative purposes. But if that dude wears a cleat a half size smaller than he does, that's a touchdown. That's a tutty last night. But I think that on those 2 plays, Lamar, who had been under assault from the Chiefs defensive line all night, when he took the shotgun snap, I think he looked to read one, and then he just by default had to bring the eyes back into the pocket, because if he takes a sack in that spot, it's ball game. Either one of those plays. He takes a sack, there are no timeouts. It's ball game at that point. So he has to make sure that he at least gives himself time to wing that thing 26 rows deep and stop the clock. So he looks at read one. It's not automatically there. Read one is going to be on either side. It's going to be a corner route. It's going to be a corner route. Can we create a mismatch? Can I throw it up top and let somebody go up and get it? Looks at read one, nobody there. And then look, in fact, I'm looking at it. Eyes come back down to the pocket. Then he's got to roll out to the right. I will say this. Isaiah Likely ran a great route, little double move, got in between the linebacker and the cornerback. But I'm going to tell you where and Lamar missed him. All right. This is not me trying to take blame off Lamar. You got to hit that pass. Got to hit that pass. But I'm also going to say that's why Adam Thielen is a GOAT at the exact spot at the exact spot Zay Flowers was playing great one, because the receiver in that spot, when he gets on the inside of the cornerback and that cornerback stops, Likely's got to sit. There's a hole in that defense, and he's got to sit down and become a stationary target when Lamar is on the run. Now, Lamar's still got to hit him. Whether he's running or stopped or facing forward or backwards or upside down, it does not matter. Lamar's got to hit him. But I will also tell you, on that play in that moment, if I'm a quarterback rolling out that direction and I see the man crossing the end zone, there's a cornerback stationed in the corner over here who was protecting the corner route. And the inside, either safety or corner, I'm not sure which spot he was, doesn't matter, who rolled over to the goal line, he stopped, because there are concepts out there where you will run 2 receivers on the exact same route 10 yards apart from each other. So the first guy running the route that Zay Flowers would run, he would clear out the cornerback. And if you're a cornerback or a safety playing in the middle of the field, playing center field in the end zone, and you go with that guy to cover him up, there's another wide receiver who just runs where you vacated and sat down. So he played the defensive concept of, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to let whoever's over guarding that third of the end zone pick this up. That person had been brought over by the corner route, and Zay Flowers ran into that hole. You have to sit down right there. Stop your motion and let Lamar throw it to you as a stationary target, especially when he's on the run. But he's still got to hit that throw whether Zay's running or not.
You know how on X where readers can add context to something, the Baltimore Ravens X'd out touchdown OMG, tune in on NBC showing that touchdown, and readers added context they thought people might want to know. No, it wasn't.
Was not a touchdown.
No, it wasn't.
Is that still up, really?
Yes.
Oh, no.
That is great. Do you find this helpful? Rate it. I'm going to rate it.
I'm going.
Yes, this was helpful.
There's no way that's still up,
dude. I'm looking.
Oh,
at it.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It is.
It.
Touchdown OMG. Tune in on NBC. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. No, it wasn't. One of 2 things is going to happen. Either some intern is going to be relieved of their social media responsibilities today, or some intern's getting a raise, because that's hilarious. It's one of the 2. I promise you that tweet is going to get more interaction today than any tweet the Ravens have ever tweeted. That's phenomenal.
That is so funny.
Yeah,
it really is. All I'm
Reader
hearing,
comment. No, it wasn't.
All I'm hearing from you is the reasons why Baltimore lost, but not the reasons why Kansas City won.
Kansas City did what Kansas City's going to do.
I'm going to be Homer here and go.
No, stop it.
I know. Why are you talking about all these reasons why Lamar did this, Lamar did that? Let's talk about the positive things. Or actually, we can talk about how Patrick Mahomes had balls dropped in the. Well, he didn't drop them. His best receivers dropped some balls in the first half, which might have made field goals be touchdowns instead, which the score would be totally different if that would have happened, and the dumb interception that he threw.
Was a dumb interception.
He did get hit when he threw it, but it didn't look like it should have changed the trajectory that much.
I agree. I don't think it would have mattered.
That changed the complexion of the game.
It did, but I would also argue so did the Lamar fumble. And while Chris Jones did an excellent job causing that,
that's kind of, when someone that size hit your arm, it probably is.
I don't disagree, but
if he was fat Lamar instead of skinny Lamar, he'd have been able to hang on to that.
Also, can we stop with the fat Lamar Jackson? That man was absolutely just yoked last year.
Yeah, but Chris Collinsworth told us 50,000 times about how much weight Lamar had lost.
That's the most dumbass storyline I had to listen to all last night. He dropped so much weight. He dropped like 17 pounds, and it wasn't exactly like he was, me last year.
Was it easy for you to drop 17 pounds?
To be honest, the first 17, yeah.
Well,
it kind of was.
Well, think if you were in that kind of shape.
No, it would not be.
Yeah.
But again, like I love like they were acting like that was like all of the sudden Lamar was going to be the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. Guys, he has been really, really good. The only bugaboo he's got is that Pat Mahomes exists. And guess what? That's true about everybody else in the league.
By the way, congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, now the all-time leader in passing yards for Kansas City.
Oh, did he cross that last night?
Yeah,
nice.
They showed it. Yeah.
I blanked out a lot of what Collinsworth said.
No, they actually showed a graphic.
Oh.
But that's okay. I mean, you were too busy focused on Lamar, and so I'm focusing on the guy who's already set the record for Kansas City.
We have 4 hours. I promise we'll talk about your sweet, precious baby boy. Don't worry.
You can use that tone.
Don't worry.
It doesn't change the fact that Lamar's your guy, and you don't like Patrick Mahomes, obviously. You know what that is?
I just saw the back of my brain. I rolled my eyes so hard.
You know what the last 12 minutes were on this show? Disrespectful. That's what they were.
No.
Very disrespectful.
No, see,
you're going to rue the day in, what is it, February now? You're going to rue it in February. I will send you a text and ask, are you ruining right now?
You're going to rue so hard.
But you won't read the text, so it won't matter. But it'll feel good for me.
I want you to know, Great One, I do read the text. It's just that sometimes
And then you roll your eyes like you just did.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. Again, as we have butted heads at least once so far this week, and I guess we'll do it again here. I don't need to sit here and go, oh, the Chiefs are the greatest. You know what you did right and wrong. The team that won is the team that won. I'm going to address the team that lost and did wrong things, because you can't correct what you did right. You can't correct it. You can correct what you did wrong. And the Ravens last night gave themselves a chance to win the football contest, and then botched it. Lamar Jackson.
Do you like that Harbaugh was going for 2? I kind of do.
I do. Hell yeah, absolutely. You got, especially if you score with zeros on the clock, because not only is the Momo in your favor, but the defense is sucking wind. At that point, they are exhausted. You got them on the ropes.
There are some obvious holes in Chiefs defense. They're missing Snead. They're missing.
For sure.
Yeah. They hit like the same play almost every time out in the flat because it was open.
That late touchdown that was scored on the run down the sideline, where my man put on the brakes and let like 9 Chiefs defenders just go skidding past him and then walked it in. That was kind of an illustration, a microcosm of the night overall to keep it a buck. But again, like this is very interesting to me, because Lamar Jackson and the performance he put on for 3.9 quarters was the reason the Ravens had a chance to win the game. And then Lamar Jackson was the reason they didn't, because they were on 2nd and 3rd down. There were 2 opportunities for him to just play pitch and catch with a wide open defender, score a touchdown, and either go for 2 in the win or tie that thing up and take it to overtime. And he missed them both. And then he gets that big pass to Isaiah Likely, which that throw was a spectacular throw. It's the only place. There was nowhere else you could put that football and give anybody a chance. I went back and watched that play from Skycam. That was it. That was the only spot, right? He put that ball in a wonderfully catchable place that, again, if Isaiah Likely wears a shoe that's a half size smaller, we may be having a very different conversation this morning than the one that we're having, which also very much stinks if you had the Ravens +3 last night.
Are you saying that you had the Ravens +3 last night?
I had the Ravens +3, not win, +3. And I had the over-under, great one, of 47, of 46. You know how many points were scored last night? 47. Last night, because here's the thing, I just needed one of those two to hit, and I was fine. If I get one of the two, that's sometimes you play the game and you go, I need one of these two to hit. If either one of these two hits, I'm fine. Because if one or the other hits, it's a break-even night. And I will take a break-even night 100% of the time. It's a break-even night. If both hit, big night. Daddy's buying some spits of whiskey this weekend. But if one hits, it's a break-even night. I was 1 point from hitting the spread. And I was literally a toenail away from hitting the line. 1 point. All I needed was Harrison Butker to be focused on whatever and push one to the far right, and I would have hit the score. Or I needed Isaiah Likely to put his foot down in the end zone and score that touchdown, go for two, make or miss. I win either way, and it's a big night.
What if Baltimore's most accurate kicker in the history of
Justin Tucker, who's also my fantasy kicker, by the way? In case you wondered how great my night was, not only did I miss the spread, not only did I miss the total, but my kicker, I haven't played fantasy football in 9 years, and the very first game, I take a Hall of Fame kicker, and he's out here shanking them left and right.
So is it the script or is it the jinx? Which one do you believe in?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because there's a controversy brewing around a little friendly cooking the Chiefs may or may not have received late into that game last night. Talk about that when we come back. Why not jump right into the controversy? Let's go. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Be right back, stream. Also, hi.
I guess we would call what he just did running, I suppose. Not that I could do any better, but yeah. Okay, that's creepy, dude. Why are you doing that? Why are you driving all slow in the parking lot looking around? I'm sorry, I'm right here, but there's this guy driving really slow and creepy around the parking lot.
Spartan races and things like that. For Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor, staying active means everything. So when nagging knee pain,
then he almost, he's back.
He found a natural way to get lasting relief. QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies. We're using my body's natural abilities to get better, and that's huge. In time, that's going to be the way of the future. Using your own body's ability to heal. Now I can play day to day and not have that severe pain. Now he's back out there doing what he loves, thanks to QC Kinetics. Life is good. You're not going to slow me down. Leave the pain behind and get moving. Book your free consultation today with QC Kinetics. Call QC Kinetics 864.
I'm sorry, I really am here. But just, there was a creepy guy. Drove really slow around everything. Now he's really trying to back into the pole. And he's going, dude.
Did you get it?
Oh, man. How has he not hit it yet? What, so when you hit the pole, you parked? I don't know. I have no idea what it might be. But if not, then we've got ourselves a stall.
A hometown victory. I know I am. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Or we got someone who's extremely late.
Construction is now open.
Look at that one.
America's top homes and #1 in Mad World is much more than just a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Enjoy mini golf, PAX Throwing, carnival games, food, bonfire, roaming characters, and fun for the whole family. Located in Piedmont, off I-85, exit 35. Grab your friends and get ready to scream. Buy your tickets now at madworldattractions.com. That's madworldattractions.com.
Why are limps creepy? Is that thanks to horror movies?
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same?
No idea who that is.
5% cheaper, and you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free.
You got something out of the back of the truck. Hopefully it wasn't a firearm.
Best for you. Discreet shipping is prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted.
If it were something like that, like a shooter, I got room over here. I'm just saying, underneath here. We can hold hands if you want. Or we'll get the mini bats and we'll just be waiting over here underneath the desk.
That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Sponsored by Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America NA. Copyright 2024.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel. Tell me what's coming up.
Talking a little South Carolina Gamecock football with former Gamecock great Steven Garcia. Shane Beamer is just 3 games over 500 as the head coach of South Carolina. Does a win at Kentucky guarantee his job through the end of the season? And high school football week 2 is here. I'll give you my fix for Friday night.
Diesel and Cole Bryson really bring it on Wire to Wire.
I turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Up.
Well, we might as well jump right in, right?
Can I ask you a quick question, though? Did you bet on the over-under of Taylor Swift's showings?
I did not, but one of my fraternity brothers down in Florida did. Number was set at 6.5. It capped at 6.
I was going to say, I thought it was. Does it count only during the game, though?
Yes, whistle to whistle.
Yeah, because they did not show her nearly as much as people complained about.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I think that, and I don't know if this was because of this, but when she arrived at the stadium and she walked in, what do you call a Canadian tuxedo for women? Because Tay-Tay showed up in the all denim. All right, the all denim.
It just, now we know what people are going to be dressed like for a while.
Oh, for sure,
and all denim
for sure. It's just it's jeans out. So when Taylor
friend
got
of the
there,
show, Orange Cassidy gave a limp thumbs up.
Influencer. That was Tay-Tay doing her best Orange Cassidy impression. When she showed up, it was friggin' everywhere, right? It was on ESPN's threads. It was on Fox Sports threads, TMZ's threads. It was everywhere last night, and there was a huge backlash. And listen, I don't care, okay? I don't care. When the two teams are huddled up calling a play, I don't care what you show. It's no different if you show Taylor Swift than if you show the drunk fat guy in row Z with his shirt off. I don't care. You're not showing me anything. It doesn't matter.
I think most people have a preference, but I agree with you. Whether they would see Taylor Swift or there are some people, I can't. Why are they? They probably would prefer to see the drunk fat guy.
I do think that, at least for me, as somebody who, again, I will say I'm off the wagon a little bit, but I had considered myself for a minute there a bit of a Swiftie. All right. I liked her. I think it's gotten a little manufactured. I think the success blew up, and I think it kind of changed her a little bit.
Manufactured?
Yeah. Like a little manufactured. But I also get it. Like it was constant. It was kind of like there wasn't another damn fan in the building. And what made it worse was because everybody else recognized that it just turned into here's a box full of celebrities trying to hang out with Taylor Swift so they can get on camera too. And it just got to be a bit much, even for somebody who liked Taylor Swift.
Well, as a Chiefs fan, it didn't bother me.
Sure.
I think I don't know if other Chiefs fans.
So
that's all you care
So
about.
mad,
Well, I
dude.
get money's money. I
So
suppose.
mad. I don't know, but I do think they chilled it out during the game, and I do think it's because you show her enough to let the demo that's there. Because I know for a fact that there are women who tuned into that game last night who would never otherwise be watching football on a Thursday night, but tuned in just to see Taylor Swift on TV.
So maybe Travis didn't do enough last night because they only show her after Travis does something.
Travis, ditch that look, bro. Ditch that look. Ditch that.
I like
No. Travis went with the my up, homie haircut and the I'm not allowed within 500 yards of a school mustache.
I think
there are guys that can pull that stash off. He's not one. Neither am I. But he's not one.
So is Tom Selleck okay with his mustache?
Yes.
What's the difference?
He's Tom Selleck.
Okay.
What is that? What is that? Can Sam Elliott? What's the difference? He's Sam Elliott. That's the difference.
I would think his mustache is probably up there on par with those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Shut your filthy mouth.
No.
Shut your filthy mouth.
You're getting angry about a mustache.
You just put Kelsey in the realm of the two greatest stashes in the game.
What I said. I put his mustache in the realm of those.
No, it's not. It's not even close. And this is the most bad take you've ever bad taked on any show you have ever done. Anyway, I think they got to the point where they for sure were like, this is too much. I know of at least two of them.
Are we expecting an in-studio guest?
Are we?
I'm asking you. Did you book someone to be in studio? Because I'm being questioned about whether we booked an in-studio guest or not.
I mean, not that I'm aware of, but now I'm panicking a little bit.
Yeah, because
do you have a name?
No. The Chief Who Acts is asking me because it's probably that person who I said went across there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm having I'm not gonna lie, like an anxiety attack level 2 out of 10. 2.5 out of 10. I don't think I did.
You never tell me anything, so I can't. So I don't know. I mean, that's the reason why I'm asking you live on the air.
Yeah, but that's one I put on the calendar, and I don't have it on the calendar. So, I mean, it's a no, but like a no, but I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't know.
Well, we don't want to let someone in if you can't remember.
Yeah, I can't. All right. Whatever. They showed Taylor. I know there were women who were there to see Taylor. I know of two who told me. Like, I'm only watching to see Taylor Swift. Fine. I think the NFL has found its balance, right? I think last night was the balance of show the biggest pop star on planet Earth at our games, but don't only show the biggest pop star. Show football stuff so that, the women who want to see Taylor are there and the ones who don't.
We don't know how many times she's actually going to be there this year. Although I think they said the Eras Tour is now in America. So she's got a better shot at getting there.
Now, let's get to the thing we actually wanted to talk about, which is the fact that there is a little controversy that took place last night. There were two spots. Number one.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the hit out of bounds on Patrick Mahomes that they didn't call.
It was not a hit out of bounds.
It was
absolutely not a hit out of bounds.
All right. So I hate that you're really wrong on this, but you are really wrong on this. They even showed it again, how he was way out of bounds when the guy hit him. Then the second hit, this is on the refs because they allowed the first one without throwing the flag. The second one, they went at Mahomes' legs. So you're going after one of the guys in the NFL, and they actually threw the flag on the second one. The first one, they should have thrown it, and they told Baltimore, hey, we're not going to throw the flag, so go ahead.
No.
So that's what we're talking about, right? Because those are the two most controversial things that happened
neither
last
one
night.
of those things is controversial.
Mahomes, without a doubt they are.
Mahomes he was on his way out of bounds.
Oh, no.
He was on his way.
Listen, Rob, respectfully, okay, which I never say. I never say to you.
Respectfully, you son of a...
No. Go back.
I'm going to.
And look at that play. One guy hit him. He was still in the field of play. The second guy come into the white, all the white, and even Collinsworth was saying, yeah, that's about as far in the white as you can get and hit someone. And he hit him then. That's why a fight nearly ensued, because he was way out of bounds when he hit him.
All right, mute that because I do have the video, but I don't want it to go over there. Let's see. All right. Mahomes takes the No, I think he's on his way on it. All right, he may be a step out. But I'm also going to argue that in that moment, the possibility of him turning the corner is there. I don't have an issue with it not being a call. He gets hands on him about a step out of bounds.
Yeah, again,
if that's anybody
a second ago, you said there was no way. Now you're looking at it and you're seeing what I'm saying. He was out of bounds and he hit him. The rule is, he was only a step out of bounds. No, that's not the rule. He was out of bounds. He hit him out of bounds.
I'm also
you throw the flag on that, especially.
I'm also gonna
being a quarterback.
I'm also gonna push back, and we'll now get to the other thing coming up in a minute here because I'm fine with this being the controversy. I am gonna argue because it's Roquan Smith. I am gonna argue that number one, and this is something that I do think the NFL has to address: the concept of defensive players' momentum carrying them into a hit. Right. This is one of the problems I have. I have no problem with them not wanting quarterbacks being hit in the legs, or in the knees or lower, right? The thighs or lower, whatever that line of demarcation
like
is.
The second hit out of bounds, which was down by his ankles.
I don't have any, or out of bounds in the pocket. But you can't hit a guy in the legs in the pocket. Like, I don't have an issue with it because I understand the concept. The last thing you need is a rash of ACLs being popped by star quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I
but once
that.
He's out of the pocket, he's a runner. He's no longer a quarterback.
Sure.
So
here's what I'm going to say about this hit. I think one thing that has to be considered in this spot is the momentum of a defensive player because Roquan Smith has an angle. If Mahomes gets around Williams, he's around him. In fact, when Mahomes is still a full yard inbounds, Mahomes is a step ahead of Williams before he makes the decision to go OB. In fact, I would argue that had Mahomes really planted that left foot, he could have stayed inbounds and gotten up the field. So Roquan Smith's got to play it that way. He's got to play it that. You have to play it with the pursuit angle that Mahomes is going to keep going. Because if you pull off and Mahomes plants that left foot and gets up the sideline, in order to avoid the 15, you might be giving up 15. You got to play through that. But once Roquan, who also, by the way, and I'm not going to put it up on the stream because I don't want to get flagged for it, but you can go find it. It's on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere. I'm also going to argue that, and I don't know that the referees can take this into consideration when they got the hand on the flag, right? But I would say Mahomes has Williams beat to the point that if he plants that left Air Force One cleat and turns up the field, he can convert for more yards. Roquan's got an angle, and the last thing that I'm going to argue, and I actually will, I'll throw a still up because I think we're good with the still. And for those of you that aren't watching on the stream, facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. What I'm going to say here, great one, is at this angle, and I don't know that the NFL can or cannot take this into consideration, but at this angle, because of where Williams' body is, because of where of Roquan Smith, who is not the first player here, but you can see him on the other side. I don't think my mouse is showing on the screen, but you can see he's the further player. I don't think he can't see Mahomes' feet, right? So this is one of those that I am going to argue was likely called out of what do I want to call it here? Cautiousness?
No, that one wasn't.
I know. Well, okay, was not called out of cautiousness because I think I can justify call here.
You're going to get his flag.
No, it is what it is now. Too late. Because again, Williams is beat. Look at Williams. He's Superman. He's beat. There's nothing he can do there. He's got an arm on Mahomes.
He also, if I recall this play, I think he tries a leg whip. It could be momentum when he hits the ground.
Yeah, that's just Momo. That's just
really
momentum.
Because that leg comes up, and I don't know, dude.
That is an NFL caliber athlete going from full sprint to slung around. Yeah, that's momentum.
Looks like an attempted leg whip.
It's a terrible one. It's a terrible one. There's no kick. It's just a dude spinning around in the air.
No, his leg comes over trying to catch him in the back of the calf.
No, he does not.
He does.
Stop. I know he's your special precious baby boy, but no. Roquan, I would argue. I would also argue from Roquan, I got a hard time calling that a hit. All right. I mean, I guess that right arm kind of gets up over his helmet. You could call it that.
Look at Patrick Mahomes' leg. Gets caught underneath him. You could have took him out for the season.
His leg does not get caught underneath him.
His left leg is definitely caught underneath him.
No, it's not. What the hell are you talking about?
If you let the play progress, his own leg.
I don't need to let it play. Here's literally the 2 seconds they're even close to each other. I don't know why
you're not seeing how he lands awkwardly on that leg.
Him landing awkwardly is not the same as he's under the leg.
You know how he does. His leg is under him.
No,
you're thinking I'm talking about the other guy. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes' own leg.
No.
And here's the thing.
Oh, you mean Mahomes' leg is under Mahomes? That ain't Roquan's fault.
Yeah, what you're doing is not working. Here's the thing. None of that's a concern if he doesn't hit him out of bounds.
I got a hard time. I would be willing to let you get away with saying that's a hit. I don't think it's a hit. Real quick, if Roquan wants, he can murder Mahomes right there, and he pulls up. But
he did launch himself.
But because of the fact that right here, Mahomes is still, and we know he is, talented enough to get up the field. Roquan's on a pursuit angle. I don't have any issue. And you can't see his feet because Williams is in front of them. I'm going to say that's a good no call. I'm going to say I got no problem with that one. All right. When we come back here in a minute, there actually was a little bit of controversy about something else that Terry McAuliffe called out on the air. And we'll address that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. With my dadgum chair.
Championship game. Patrick Mahomes, 20 of 28 passing for 291 yards with a touchdown, 1 interception. Baltimore's Lamar Jackson, 26 of 41 passing, 273 yards and a TD. One game on the schedule tonight, the first ever NFL game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The Packers take on the Eagles. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash for Fan Upstate.
I just fixed you, chair.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Stop what you're doing, because right now, Kohl's is giving away millions of instant Kohl's cash.
Yeah, that's another thing, Zach, why they went away from Derrick Henry. They just went away from him.
Yes, they did.
So the same thing that Rob was complaining about them doing last year in the playoff game, going away from the running game. This is
But I'm going to say this, and I do think there is something to be said. Derrick Henry did not look explosive. He looked like he was taking 5 yards to get any momentum.
He's older. There's a reason why Tennessee let him go.
Yeah. Tennessee let him go because they didn't want to pay him.
He still can be a weapon if used right.
He is a weapon, but I think you have to use him, and this is why I like the
Lamar is scarier.
You have to use him as a half distraction and half weapon. And I don't think they ever used Derrick Henry really as a distraction to Lamar. And so it got to the point where they, in my opinion,
I was going to say that's not what Collinsworth said.
I don't care.
Look at how they're using Derrick Henry's going this way, and it opens up Lamar to go this way.
If he goes that way, but you never fake him the ball, he's just a guy going the wrong way. I don't care if it's Bo Jackson. If you don't threaten the football,
he said Bo Jackson. Oh no. Why'd you grab that one?
Because the other one's smaller. This one's full size. I mean, it's college football.
Okay, that dude is now outside flashing his lights.
That's an alarm going off. I want you to know the emphasis that I feel every time I'm 2 to 4 words ahead of saying alarm to.
Well,
Texter said Lonzo wanted those calls against the Chiefs, but their right tackle was starting early, a lot of plays, and Chris Jones playing in the neutral zone all night. Solid adjectives he's using to make a hit against Mahomes sound worse than it was. Yeah, I would agree. I will say this. I thought that, and I do like this.
Haters,
I like
man.
that.
Haters.
I do like.
You're right, by the way, Texter. They did get away with some stuff. That's not my fault.
We're going to come to that in a minute. I do like that. At the beginning of the game, and I mean, they didn't care how many times they called it. I like that they are making offensive tackles beyond the line of scrimmage, because last year there was, and I called it out on this show, last year there was an epidemic of left tackles specifically, but left and right tackles who were playing in a wing back spot to make sure defensive ends couldn't get a pass rush around them. Stanley last night was one of the biggest perpetrators of that. They would start a full man off the line of scrimmage, so that first kick back, defensive ends cannot get the edge. And I called that out last year. I'm like, if we're going to let tackles play that far back, there's no point, right? So I'm glad that they were, especially calling it on the same guy, Ronnie Stanley. But they call him like 3 times in the first quarter.
I think it might have been more than that. Listen, I agree with you. And on Kansas City side, they were not calling it the same way they were in Baltimore.
I agree.
And they should have. And I can't wait till we get another rookie tackle next year. And then we're good. Because, you know, the other side has a rookie tackle on it. You didn't see a problem with him.
Yeah, you gotta train that out. And again, that was one of those things that was sent out as a memo by the league coming into the season. Like, hey, tackles have to be, that helmet has to be on the belt of the center at the furthest back. And I genuinely appreciate that they were calling that. I thought they were gonna really crack down on offensive tackles getting that first kick start before the ball was, or as the ball was being snapped, but they did not last night. And I will say again, not because I have a dog in the fight one way or the other, but I specifically recall last year, this was just a thing for the Chiefs all year. Who was your left tackle last year that was like egregious with that? I can't remember his name.
Still this guy.
The same one?
Yeah. They put up a graphic, the most penalized player in the NFL last year, I think with 42 false starts, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it's him. And he's gotten better. He wasn't as bad with it last night.
Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, wasn't as bad with it last night as he has been.
It wasn't far off.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
wasn't far off.
I don't believe in the conspiracy that the refs do everything for Kansas City. That's always said about a team that's dominating, and by people who are upset that team is dominating.
Of course, the guy who's a fan isn't going to go, yeah, we're getting special treatment.
By the way, I just said that he got away with stuff. I don't know why he got away with it, but I don't think there's a conspiracy to make that happen. I think it just happens. Or maybe, did you see the commercial? And I don't know if because you're watching on YouTube, the commercial of the referee commercial?
No.
Where he's getting stuff thrown at him and he's getting shoved around and everything. He gets in his car and they throw stuff at his windshield. He goes home and it was a dog food commercial. He goes home and gets some food out of the fridge, gives it to his dog. And his dog just puts his head on as he's laying there after all the abuse he took. It was a great commercial.
I have not seen it. I will go find it.
It's a really good commercial.
But I can tell you why that controversy, that conspiracy theory is out there. And it's because of stuff like this. Oh, sorry. It's because of stuff like this.
So the field goal unit came out, and the offense came back. Play clock's down at 10. Chiefs are trying to make sure their personnel's right. They might take a timeout. KC needs a timeout here, and they got it. Steve Spagnuolo ran down the sideline to get the timeout call there, as the Chiefs had a little bit of defensive confusion.
Yeah, and I think Andy Reid's a little concerned with that one too, because it didn't look like Baltimore totally had their act together either.
But it's also the defensive coordinator coming down to call timeout as well, and not the head coach. Can I bring Terry McCauley in, our 3-time Super Bowl referee, our rules analyst? Terry, that's not the way it's supposed to go.
He can't do that. It has to be the head coach that comes down. The assistant coach, nobody else can call timeout on the sideline except the head coach.
So Spags called. Now, that official didn't recognize it, but it was recognized by the official in the back corner who saw Spagnuolo coming down. And he said, I'm sorry. I know I can't do that. I mean, people should hire me as a head coach, but I'm not. But acknowledged, given, 9 seconds left, second and goal.
And there you have it. End of the first half.
So
There's
you're going to
seconds left
say
to play.
you as the knower of ball knew that was a thing, because I did not know it was a thing. You know who else didn't know it was a thing? The referee who let him have the call. That guy didn't know it was a thing.
So here's the thing, and this may shock you.
A lot of things.
I'm not an NFL referee who was calling a game. And I do think it is relatively fair that regardless of the quantity of rules that you put in the rule book, that I expect the people who are responsible for adjudicating the rules to know the rules. Could you imagine if somebody went in front of a judge and the judge put him in jail and then they went, oh, actually, I don't know all the rules because the U.S. legal system's very complicated. We would go, what? Wait, sorry, no, wait, dadgummit. We would go, whoa, 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 whoa. Can't have that.
Are you going to say a robo-ref would have gotten that right?
No.
Okay,
in fact, I never once thought about robo-ump in this case. All right. Now, I'm fine with robo-ump.
It would have been the wrong sport because umps are in
but
baseball. But
one of the things on team robo-ump does not mean team take refs off the field. It just means team everything that's not subjective, everything that is objective, robo-ump. But no, I never even once went to that. What I went to was whether you like it or you don't. In a spot where the Ravens, and let's be clear about this, the Ravens sent out the field goal team while the play clock was running, sent out the field goal team, called the field goal team back, sent out the offense. The Chiefs sent out their field goal block team, but did not catch on to the fact that the Ravens sent their offense back out with enough time to make the substitution. So their special teams units out there now lined up to play defense. Spags caught it. Spags ran down the sideline screaming for the timeout. Andy did not. And as Terry McCauley, rules official there, pointed out, assistant coaches, and now I know it. Now I do.
Okay, so you didn't know.
I did not know.
Because I didn't know either.
I had no idea.
I mean, I learned that last night. It was like, Really? I didn't know that.
Same here. I will acknowledge that while I do know ball, I don't know the NFL rulebook inside and out when it comes to that kind of stuff. I did not know. Now I do. The only person on the sideline.
So you're saying you do know it inside and out when it comes to some sort of things.
I mean, hey, if you want to get into the technicalities of who's allowed to call a timeout, I diagnosed, for instance, Lamar's missed touchdown earlier. Diagnosed that perfectly to a T. All right, got that one spot on. Yeah, no, I did not know that only the head coach can call a timeout. Now I do. Now I'll never have that question again. But you know who I do expect to know that? The guy on the sideline responsible for taking timeout calls from the sideline. He's got to know that there's one guy over there, and it's the Walrus that's allowed to call a TO.
The guy, the ref that was standing next to him did not give him the timeout. That guy knew that.
That's the back judge, and he's the same. If you are in a position where you know the refs on this side of the field, you will be responsible for taking the timeouts from Andy Reid. And on this side, you'll be responsible for taking the timeouts from John Harbaugh. And you must know that there is only one person you can take them from. But the point here...
Is this the only level that's the case?
I have no idea.
Because I could have swore I've seen coordinators in college football call timeouts before.
No idea. Don't particularly... And in this spot right now, don't particularly care. I care about this game. And the point that I would make here is every year when we get to the end of the season, there fires up these controversies, these conspiracies that the NFL picks favorites, based on the numbers, the most popular teams, the teams that sell the most tickets, the teams that get the most eyeballs on. And let's keep it a buck. That's the Chiefs right now. You're a dynasty. All right. Whether you win the Super Bowl or not, whether you three-peat or not, the Chiefs are in the midst of a dynasty right now. And so whether you are watching, and this, going with the old Dion philosophy, whether you're watching to see them win or watching to see them lose, whether you're watching to see if Mahomes becomes Brady or if he never does, regardless of, you are watching them. And on top of that, conversation we had earlier, whether you like it or not, I know for a fact of at least 2 ladies last night who would in no world tune into a Thursday night NFL football game that kicked off at 8, well, because of the rain, almost 9 o'clock last night, would not have tuned in, but they both had their TVs on just because Tay-Tay was there. All right, you don't have to like it, but she's a draw for a demographic that the NFL doesn't ordinarily reach in that spot. So if you were going to play favorites, the Chiefs are absolutely the number 1 team in the NFL you would play favorites for at this point. And so when you have stuff like that happen, because if that timeout doesn't get called, 90% sure the Ravens score a tutty there. Why? Because they're up against the special teams unit, not the starting defense of the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs were able to get that timeout called with 9 seconds left, they were able to, at that point, adjust to whatever the Ravens do. Field goal or offense, they can send out the corresponding unit from their sideline. It saved their ass. And so when you have a referee accept a timeout from an unauthorized timeout caller on the sideline, that is one of the reasons why there are a lot of NFL fans who genuinely believe that there is favorites being assisted by the league itself. And again, I'm never going to say for certain that that's untrue. I'm never going to say it is. All right. This is one of those positions where I drive Lonzo crazy by saying I don't believe a thing is true is not the same as saying that I believe it is untrue. There are 3 positions. It is true, it is false, or I don't know. And I am comfortable saying I don't know because of the NFC Championship game where the Rams got the pass interference. Because that was a year that Roger would have benefited greatly from his baby, his darling, his love child with his ego, a Los Angeles NFL team going to the Super Bowl, not those redheaded stepchildren from down in the bayou, all right? That was LA's first year. Roger Goodell said for 100 years, the only thing I care about is getting a team in Los Angeles. He did. Then they are the beneficiaries of the most egregious no call in the history of the National Football League that sends them to the Super Bowl. You will never convince me that there's not a possibility that that was intentional. I'm not saying it was for certain, but I'm never going to say it wasn't. That's why the conspiracy theories still float around.
You're never going to let that go, are you?
No.
Ever in your entire life. You will forget people's names. You will be in the old folks' home and Roger Goodell. That's the only name you will know is Roger Goodell.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I'll never forget the name of the jackwagon who called it, whose name, Bill son of a Vinovich, that it will never go away. I want you all to listen to me right now and listen to me very closely. If leaving this studio today, I get hit by a bus in the parking lot and taken out, should I go to whatever phase of universal existence comes after this one and leave all of you behind? Somebody, whoever it is that reads my eulogy, I want it to end. Rob Brown. He was a friend. He was a family member. He was a brother. He was a son. He was a lover. And Roger Goodell and Bill Vinovich, R.I.P. Rob Brown. Good luck in the next life. That's how it ends. All right? Quote me on that. Just make sure you get and
so
in
you're
there.
saying hell for you would be spending all eternity with those 2 guys.
Hell for me is walking into a white room where it's just that play on replay for eternity. That's it. With Roger on my left going, oh, actually, we could good call, actually, and Bill Vinovich on my right going, you don't know ball, Rob Brown, and having to listen to these jackasses try to convince me that that was a good no call.
How many years ago was that?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
I will carry that.
I don't remember
for
how long ago it
millennia.
was. So, yeah. Uh-huh.
I will carry that into eternity. Sports Flash. I'm freaking mad. I'm going to get fresh air. This is stupid.
Oh, man. It's been a bad week. The difference between a win and a loss was the length of a toe for the Baltimore Ravens, who were knocked off in the first game of the 2024 season by the Kansas City Chiefs, 27-20. I guess it was an upset, according to Rob's writing. Lamar Jackson threw for 273 yards and a touchdown and ran for 122 yards, but missed two open wide receivers. Rob has them first as to the winners. I don't know why. In the end zone on the game's final drive, Patrick Mahomes had 291 yards through the air with a touchdown and a pick. The Atlanta Braves failed to sweep the Rockies, dropping the third game of the series last night, 3-1. Ronaldo Lopez was tagged with his fifth loss on the season, despite giving up just 2 runs while striking out 11. Tune in tomorrow at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. It's Furman versus Charleston Southern right here on the Fan Upstate. You got this, Shane. Just remember, all you have to do, no matter what the problem is just say roll tide and you'll be fine. Even if you feel dirty doing it. Or you could say it that way and you really will be endeared.
It's pretty awesome. It's just a guy who showed up to meet the Rise Guys.
See, I knew it was
just some guy who showed up to meet.
I thought it was something like that. Did he make his own alarm go off?
Probably. Well, they're in the truck.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's still in the truck.
Incredible.
And it's not even him. He wants the Rise Guys to meet his mom because it's her 72nd birthday.
They gotta know it.
I don't know.
He drove.
He's a P1.
By the way, he drove really creepy around the parking lot. Nearly took out the car, which I thought was Devin's, but probably isn't because she would have been here that early. That SUV over there, and then backed in. Is it okay? Like I didn't know who it was, and then backed in and got closer and closer and closer to the pole, and I thought he might have triggered his alarm on purpose.
Thought?
Yeah.
1 second, stream. We'll be right back. All right, we're back.
If maybe you should. No, seriously.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is underway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Great to be with you. I'm Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, on the other side of the metaphorical glass.
Winning
this morning. You are not only welcomed to, you are encouraged to join the show this morning. The text line is open, 71307. Start your text with Fan.
Yeah, just not in person.
Yeah, don't just show up here. That's not how it works, okay? Not that that's ever happened or is actively happening right now, but don't just show up. It's not going to work that way, all right? You can go to the remotes if you want to do it that way, but that's pretty much it. 71307 is the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. You can call us on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-FAN-FONE. That's 844-326-3663. You can also join us, as Lonzo pointed out so eloquently and accurately. You can join us on the live stream by going to facebook.com/thefanupstate, by going to the Fan Upstate on YouTube, by going to the Rob Brown Show on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're a millennial, Twitch as well. We are streaming to all of those platforms and would love to have you join us on the stream. The goal is to pump the stream numbers up. All right. Let's just let you in behind the scenes. The goal is to get our stream community ever growing, because the more that, and I can tell you this for a fact, the more that Lonzo and I get the stream numbers pumped up, the more stuff we'll be able to do with the stream down the line. That includes being able to go live more often and out of our regular time slots. That means we will be able to do some special broadcasts in different situations that are available only to stream viewers, etc. So go to the live stream. And if you're at the office, you're one of those lucky few that have maybe an extra computer monitor that doesn't really have, you just put your email. Who gives a crap about your work email? All right. Use that extra monitor to bring up the live stream. You get to watch all 4 hours of the show, all 5 days of the week, and interact with the great one and I off the air during breaks, where we have conversations that are sometimes brought to the air, sometimes not, sometimes appropriate, sometimes not. All right, just a couple of fellas who know ball in here hanging out during the breaks. So make sure you check out our live stream. It is 7:03 and a half in the morning. That means you have 56 and a half minutes before you got to clock in and ignore those work emails in order to watch at 8 o'clock, the last 2 hours of the show. At some point, you're going to want to take a break. You're going to want to step away and go talk some sports with your coworkers. I know it. You know it. The boss knows it. Everybody knows it. And if you're going to do that, you don't want to be the office idiot that goes, "What are you guys talking about?" And they go, "These specific 3 topics." Well, if they do, you're going to be fine, because you've got this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar? The encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Game over, man. It's game over.
They take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get going at the office this morning. You know what? Let's just dive right in. No sense in delaying. No sense in waiting. Item number 1. The NFL is BAC. K. Game 1, week 1, night 1 last night. The Kansas City Chiefs find a way past the Baltimore Ravens. 27-20 was your final. But boy, howdy, was it a good one? Was it one worth staying up late for? If you didn't, your loss. The Ravens have an opportunity late in the game, drive the length of the field inside the 2-minute drill, get down inside the Kansas City red zone, get down inside the Kansas City 10 with 4 opportunities to punch one in and tie or win the game. Lamar Jackson does just that, drives the team the length of the field, gets down to the 7 on first down. A big high floater to the corner of the end zone to Isaiah Likely. He can't bring the ball in, goes to the ground, gets injured, stays in the game. However, second down, Lamar under pressure has Zay Flowers wide open in the back of the end zone, misses him. Third down, exact same thing. Zay open again, Lamar misses again. Final play of the game, 4 seconds left on the clock. Lamar Jackson under pressure, throws it up to the back of the end zone, connects with Isaiah Likely, the big tight end and the unsung hero of the ball game. Likely comes down, the touchdown signal is raised. John Harbaugh on the sideline says we're going for 2 and the win. I got to tell you, my heart rate was about 1,000. It was spiked. I don't have a dog in this metaphorical fight, but boy, was I down for a team having the stones to go 2-point for the win or the loss. And then we get Collinsworth going, hold on, it's review time. Isaiah Likely was out of bounds by the tip of his cleat. The touchdown is pulled off the board. We've got zeros on the clock, and the Chiefs get out at 1-0 with a 27-20 final score. Lamar Jackson, 26 of 41, 273, and a touchdown through the air, added 122 rushing yards on the ground, 16 carries for him. The interesting thing for the Ravens offense, much like they did in the AFC title game last year when John Harbaugh forgot that Gus Edwards was on the team, they forgot Derrick Henry was on the team. Now, in fairness, Derrick Henry didn't really have the pop last night that would have justified another 10 or 11 carries for the big fella, 46 yards on 13 carries, but they basically went away from him at all in the second half. And it was, in my opinion, because the explosiveness wasn't there. And if the explosiveness isn't there, there's no point in utilizing him as a distraction for Lamar when Lamar was basically taking off whenever the hell he wanted.
Just one, if you were keeping track, that's like the entire time just talking about the losing team.
Yeah, well, I was about to talk about your team,
which
you
we'll
sweet, sensitive soul.
You give like 30 seconds to. And oh yeah, Kansas City won. Item number 2.
And oh yeah, Kansas City won. Item number 2. No, I'm not going to do that. I was going to talk about the losing team before I talk about Mahomes being 20 of 28 for 291 yards, a touch, and a very bad interception, but it ended up not costing them the game. Isaiah Pacheco, 45 yards on 15 carries. He had a touch on the ground, but the guy that I think is worth talking about, not Rashee Rice, despite the fact that he had 103 yards receiving. I don't know if y'all know, but you do now. Xavier Worthy is fast. He's real fast. He's like inappropriately fast.
Like, let's hand the ball to him on an end around and no one touches him.
No one touches him. On an end around, you should at least have a guy that can like at least it should be one-on-one, right? Like at least you got to have a free safety that gets over the top and the ball carrier's got to beat one guy. Xavier Worthy, who is, again, fast, just gone. It's unbelievable.
You know, in cartoons, when something really fast goes by and you like see the fluttering of cloth on people's clothes, you could see that.
Yeah. Xavier Worthy's so fast that if he was a cartoon, his legs would have spun in 2 animated circles while he got up to speed. That's how fast he is. It was ridiculous. He's a dude. Rashee Rice, 7 for 103. Travis Kelce, only 3 grabs for 34 yards last night. I got to tell you, kind of interesting. There were a couple of tight ends last night between Justin. I know Justin Watson's a wide receiver, but he was lined up in the wing and used as a tight end. And Noah Gray, who had 3 grabs for 37. Listen, there was a question. I didn't get into this in the preseason because I don't think it's going to be the case, but there were a lot of people this offseason saying that they think that there is a step back season for Travis Kelce coming this year, that he's not going to be the same guy this year as he is now rapidly approaching 36 years of age. And I'm not saying, listen, it's one game. Let's not go bananas. But Kelce was MIA most of the game last night.
I disagree with you there because Kansas City has more weapons this year. So there's more places for Mahomes to throw the ball, and that's what he's doing. Noah Gray had a really good year last year.
You understand, that's still a step back season. If he ends up with 500 fewer yards and 10 fewer touchdowns, even if it's justifiable, it's still a step back season.
You are implying that the step back is because of loss of ability.
You can't tell me it doesn't have something to do with that.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's 35, almost 36.
There are more places to throw the ball.
Again, that is part of it. Mm-hmm. But if Travis Kelce was that dominant tight end he was 5 years ago, there's more places to throw the ball. He's still the primary. Last night, he wasn't the primary. Okay. In fact, let me put it this way.
It's over. It's over. It's over. Or is it? Because it's very disrespectful what you're doing now.
All right, you dramatic ass. Item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet. I can't talk about that anymore.
It is pretty dramatic.
Stop it.
Just got to say.
Item number 2. 3-1, the Atlanta Braves fall to the Colorado Rockies last night. They cannot complete the sweep of the Pebbles. It drops them to 76-64 with about 21 games remaining on the schedule. The problem was not the L. Reynaldo Lopez takes the L, 8-5 now on the season. He went 6 innings, surrendered 5 hits and 2 earned runs, K'd 11 through his 6 innings last night. But between that and the 1 run that Luke Jackson gave up, and the Bravos offense only getting 5 hits on the night, 2 of them from Ozuna, 1 from Soler, 1 from Laureano, and 1 from Arcia. Nobody else able to put lumber on leather. They can't sweep the Rockies. And I told you they had to sweep the Rockies. It was not an option. Why would I have said that? Well, it's because of exactly what is happening now in the standings. The Braves were already cooked in the NL East. There was no coming back. If you would have gone to Philly in the last series, a 4-gamer on the road, and you would have taken maybe 2, but more confident taking 3 out of the 4, then I think you're alive in the division today, even with the loss of the Rockies. But you lost 3 of the 4. That dropped you to 6 games back. And now with the loss last night, the Bravos 8 games back of the division right now. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that suddenly the New York Mets are hot. The Mets are on a 7-game winning streak. They have won 8 out of their last 10 contests, and just like that, as they hold the series tiebreaker over Atlanta as of right now, the wild card race sees the New York Mets and Atlanta Braves tied for the final wild card spot. If the season ended today, you would find yourself in a 1-game playoff with the Mets for the final wild card spot, which also means that you would be down a starting pitcher for the wild card series, which would start a day later, meaning that you are at a disadvantage that is one of the few advantages you thought you had, which was that maybe the pitching can help you get out of the wild card round while the bats heat back up. But now it doesn't matter, as the Braves are 6-4 in the last 10, the Mets 8-2 in the last 10. The Mets have now caught the Braves, and the Braves, in a spot that I wouldn't have imagined was a possibility a month and a half ago, the Braves are now very much in danger of dropping out of the playoffs entirely. Now, as we pointed out, it's because the team is as banged up can be, but it's still a big disappointment. The Bravos start a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays today at home. They've got a makeup game against the Cincinnati Reds next Monday. 2-game set on the road at the Washington Nationals, then 4 against the LA Dodgers. That is at home, however. So And fingers crossed, maybe they can at least split that series. 3 on the road at Cincinnati, 3 on the road at Miami, back home for 3 against New York. And that series may very well determine who goes to the playoffs and who's sitting at home. The Bravos end it at home at the end of September with a 3-game set against the Royals. But just like that, the Bravos now dangerously close to finding themselves out of the MLB playoffs, despite coming into the year with the highest expected win total in Major League Baseball. Let's get to the final item number 3. It's a boring story because it's a legal story. It also might turn out to be one of the most impactful stories that makes the water cooler cheat sheet at any given spot today. The NCAA's landmark settlement in the House, Hubbard, and Carter antitrust law cases on hold. Why? Because in a 2-hour virtual hearing yesterday, Judge Claudia Wilkin ordered both parties, defendants and plaintiffs, to, and I quote, go back to the drawing board, end quote, regarding language in the settlement that limits third-party pay to athletes, most notably from boosters and booster-led collectives. The plaintiff attorneys in the case, Jeff Kessler and Steve Berman, and the defendants, the NCAA and power conferences, will now attempt to reach an agreement over amending the language, something that the NCAA and power league seem resistant to do, according to Ross Dellinger. They are expected to return in front of the judge in 1 month from now. According to Dellinger, he writes, quote, the current language is a central part of the settlement, NCAA outside counsel Rakesh Kilru told the judge during Thursday's hearing. Without it, I'm not sure there will be a settlement to submit, he is quoted as saying. Based on the judge's comments, Kilru later said we have to talk about whether we have a deal. For some around college athletics, this was very much expected. For others, it was a stunning result that may doom the settlements as a whole. Dellinger quotes one power conference school president as saying, quote, it's truly madness. There is no reason to settle under these circumstances, go to trial, and take our chances on appeal. The biggest issue here is that the settlement included the prohibition of third-party booster payments, which resulted in a more than 30-minute discussion between the judge, the NCAA's counsel, and the playoffs counsel. The conversation centered around what is one of the biggest questions related to the settlement. How will the NCAA and power leagues prohibit and police third-party booster payments to athletes? Such payments are happening now as boosters and collectives are distributing millions of dollars in what Dellinger describes as, quote, salary-like payments, end quote, to retain and recruit athletes, many of them disguised as commercial and endorsement deals. The settlement would potentially reduce or eliminate such payments, instead permitting schools to directly pay their athletes within a salary cap system. However, Judge Wilkins suggested that such a move may limit the pay that athletes are currently receiving, some of them, quote, large sums, end quote, and she expressed skepticism that the NCAA could enforce or should enforce its policy prohibiting pay for play. We'll talk more about this later on in the show. Let us take a break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, week 2 of the college football season begins tomorrow. The Gamecocks of South Carolina are on the road in Lexington, Kentucky to take on what we consider a bit of a rivalry with the Wildcats, the Clemson Tigers, at home to host the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, a team that loves them an FBS upset. We're going to break those 2 games down this hour. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. one contest on the road down at the New Orleans Saints. I've been there before. We'll talk with Rashad at 8:40.
Wow, that's a diss against your team. You can't even say the name right.
Disrespect. You know what that means? Chiefs Saints Super Bowl this year. The Disrespect Bowl.
If
We're
you
not going to the Super Bowl.
If you knew that was the way to get it done, how disrespectful would you be on the air?
How could I be more disrespectful than I have been? This team stinks. The head coach sucks. Like, how much more disrespectful can I be? I don't know short of calling them a bunch of
Careful.
I can't be more disrespectful.
That was almost Morse code. You got to be.
Hey, let's talk some college football here for just a handful of minutes, ladies and gentlemen. And let us begin with, I think we can go ahead and say it's a bit of a rivalry game, right? We had earlier in the week, yesterday, Lulu Kesson, beat reporter who covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News here on the show. And I said, Lulu, some of us around here consider this a rivalry game. And she said, look, I've only been here a couple of months covering this team, but I've been debriefed on Sunglasses Gate. That's what she called it. And she said, it's a rivalry. She said it's considered a rivalry. Maybe not a rivalry, obviously, on the level of the Palmetto Bowl, but the boys in the locker room, specifically the ones that have been here a couple of years, they want this one. I got to tell you, I hope they do. Because before we get into the X's and O's of the game itself, I'm going to say this, and I mean this. Bowl eligibility is on the line in this game for the Gamecocks. There is not a path to 6 wins that does not include a win in this game. There are a few games on the docket that I think are mandatory wins if South Carolina wants to achieve bowl eligibility. And I do believe we all said that's the expectation this year, right? You got one of those mandatory wins against Old Dominion. I believe that Kentucky is a mandatory win. Akron is a mandatory win. Vandy is a mandatory win. Wofford is a mandatory win. You must win those 5. If you do not win those 5, I do not see a path to 6. And that means even if you win those 5, you've got to dig out another win between LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, Missouri, and Clemson. You got to find me a win somewhere in that 7. Now, I'd like to think that with 7 games on the schedule that you will be an underdog in all of them, all right? Like it or not, you will be an underdog against Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, Mizzou, and Clemson. One of those you can pull an upset. So you beat ODU, you're going to beat Akron, you're going to beat Wofford. I'd like to say you're going to beat Vanderbilt, but they knocked off Virginia Tech, and Brent Pry's squad ain't bad. They're not good, but they ain't bad.
I was going to say, yeah, but it's one game.
Brent Pry is on key with South Carolina. Virginia Tech and South Carolina are on the same level. I'm comfortable saying that. Yes.
Are they?
Yes. I'm comfortable saying that.
I don't know.
I do. I know ball. They are equivalent teams. So you have to beat Kentucky.
I'm sorry for my misstep.
It's okay. I'm here to correct when necessary. All right. I think you're in the same level. All right. Wesley said, what would the spread be if it was Clemson versus Kentucky? Probably a pick 'em, to be honest. Maybe Clemson by like 1.5, maybe 2.5 tops.
All right. Don't sell Clemson so short. Their defense is still really
good.
Right.
No spark to the offense. That's why I do it. All right. So now this is to me, this is a must-win game. So how do the Gamecocks win this game? I am going to start with a couple of things. The first one, as we have talked about a couple of times already, the first one is an intangible. The wide receivers have to get better. Okay? You have to be able to trust them. If you're Lenora Sellers, and I will say this is a mentality thing for the young man getting game number 2 as the official and for sure QB1 of the Gamecocks. If I'm Beamer, if I'm Dow Loggins, if I'm talking to Lenora Sellers this week, do you know what I'm telling the guy? Keep throwing it deep. If you got a guy down the middle, Do not let the dropsies from last week discourage you from taking a shot, because I am going to say that if South Carolina is going to pull an upset in one of these 7 games that they are going to be underdogs in, it's going to take a big play. It's going to take a home run ball. It's going to take a shot somewhere. Much like last year when the Gamecocks had Georgia down at halftime. Remember that? Remember how good everybody felt? That's because they were taking shots, and in that game, they were converting. Now, unfortunately, you ran out of gas. You ran out of juice before you got towards the end of the game. But I think it's gonna take a couple of big plays. So I need the wide receiver core dialed in. If I'm Beamer, you know what I'm doing this week? I'm putting the wide receivers on the goal line. I'm putting the jugs machine at the 30. I'm pointing it at their chest. I'm cranking it up to 190 miles an hour, and I am firing 10,000 footballs at the chest, and we ain't stopping till y'all ain't dropping. That's pretty good. I just made that up on the fly. That's pretty good. I'm good at this. That's a big part.
Wow, a football firing squad. I don't know, dude. That seems a little excessive.
A jugs machine. All right. A jugs machine. And I'm putting balls between the numbers at 1,000 miles. I am Paul Skeensing you until you don't drop a football. That's it. Second off, because, and this is something that's been hammered on, Lenora Sellers was 43.5% completion percentage last week. That number, if you take the drops out of the equation, that number goes to about 50, 51%. It ain't great. So if I'm Dow Loggins, I am making sure that I am playing to the strengths of Lenora Sellers. One of those things, move the pocket. I have to move the pocket. I've got to give Lenora Sellers. You know how I'm playing Lenora Sellers? And I know that this sounds cliche, and I know it's going to sound almost elementary. You know what I'm doing for Lenore's? What the Ravens did last night for Lamar Jackson. When they realized that the Chiefs defense, and by Chiefs defense, I mean Chris Jones, when they realized that Chris Jones was going to give Lamar Jackson hell last night, what did they start doing? The same thing, great one. I would like to take you back to 2 years ago when the Ravens played the Chiefs. 2 years ago, exact same thing. Chris Jones was owning Lamar Jackson. I mean, just owning the Ravens offensive line and Lamar Jackson. And what did the Ravens do? Because I came in here the next day and I made a big whole thing about it. The Ravens never had a set pocket in the second half of that game. That pocket was moving left or it was moving right. They were making Chris Jones not just have to outwork the offensive line, but have to outwork the offensive line on the move. They were adding an extra degree of difficulty for the defensive line and for linebackers, and it was to cover up the weakness of the offense, and also because they found out that Lamar in that spot was more effective on the run. I'm actually shocked we didn't see as much of that last night as I thought I might. I really thought last night in this NFL game, we would see the Ravens doing a lot of pocket movement. They did not. And I'm going to tell you right now, despite the fact that they were in a position to win this game, Lonzo, I'm super down on John Harbaugh right now. Super down. Now, we're going to come back to that later because that ain't what we're talking about here. What I am talking about is the reason I'm down on Harbaugh. And the reason that I'm down on Harbaugh is because of the fact that Harbaugh now, 3 consecutive Baltimore-Kansas City games in a row, has gone away from the things that would work for him. That's why, right? 3 games ago, pocket was moving, they stopped. 2 games ago, they were running the ball exceptionally well with Gus Edwards, and in the second half, they stopped. AFC Championship game last year and last night. Derrick Henry, you never really utilized the guy, right? Would you give him 6 carries in the first half? And then he was like super sporadic the rest of the ride. I don't understand what it is about John Harbaugh that makes him keep going away from things that are strengths of his offense. What I need is Dow Loggins not to do that. What I need is Shane Beamer not to do that. What I need is these two to recognize the few places that they have strengths on the offense. There's not a ton. I'm sorry. I don't say that to be disrespectful or mean. There's not a ton of places where you have a strength. All right? Rocket Sanders inside the 10 is a strength. Utilize that. Lenora Sellers' athleticism and mobility is
don't let Lenora go out and try to block for him.
Correct. Lenora Sellers needs to be on the move, like a lot. All right? The pocket needs to be moving. It needs to be shifting. You need to utilize what Lenore Sellers can do, which is stay behind a moving pocket, recognize where receivers are and throw it, or stay behind a moving pocket, realize I don't have a throw I trust, and then take off. Because if you're moving the pocket, you are forcing the second level of the defense, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, third level, second level of defense, you are forcing them to move laterally, not vertically. Where Lenoris gets in trouble is when linebackers and cornerbacks start moving vertically, start coming up the field to him. If I can get them moving horizontally, left and right, to match up with Sellers, now I can say, hey, if it ain't there, plant that outside foot, turn up the field and get going and get you some movement, get you some room before the linebackers recognize, realize, adjust, and start stepping up to you. This offense has to be as horizontal as it is vertical, or Kentucky's going to kill you at the line of attack. And if you don't get that fixed, this one's going to be an ugly one. This is must win for you. You don't win this, you're not going bowling. It is that simple to me. All right, let's talk Clemson and Appalachian State when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Bam, bam, bam. All right, give me 30 seconds. Clemson at home taking on Appalachian State. And this is an interesting one because it's not a team in Clemson Not a team that should be worried about Appalachian State out of the Sun Belt. Yet here we are.
Yeah, is there really worry? I mean,
is there worry?
Maybe a tinge. I don't know. How good is App State this year?
They are the best team in the Sun Belt. They are predicted by the media to win the Sun Belt. They have absolutely got some dudes. They return their entire wide receiver core. They return all of their skill position players with the exception of their running back. The only spot they're weak. And I will say this is the best thing going for Clemson this week. It's effectively an all-new offensive line. They bring back their left tackle, a kid by the name of Thornton Gentry.
It's a good name, though.
Thornton Gentry the third.
Of course. Yes, quite.
Everybody else across the offensive line is new. So you got a lot of experience with the guys who touch the football, very little with the guys who don't. What's the strength of Clemson? Defensive line and linebacker. We know that, right? Barrett Carter, Peter Woods, that's the strength of the Clemson defense. You're going to have to be carried by your defense. You're going to have to keep Appalachian State off the board. Joey Aguilar last year broke out, started the final 12 games at quarterback. They are running him back this year as a senior. So now, not only did he have a breakout last year, but he's also got a year's worth of experience under his belt. He broke App State's single-season records for passing touchdowns with 33, for passing yardage with over 3,750 yards through the air. They also bring back Anderson Castle, Mikhail Haywood, and Kanye Roberts, a trio of running backs who combined for 1,300 yards last year. Now, here's the thing. I said the offensive line for Appalachian State, relatively inexperienced, right? They bring back one starter from last year. Here's the problem. Over the past couple of years, Appalachian State has gone with a massive influence on coaching the offensive lineup, having a great offensive line. Because here's the reality. In Sun Belt football, offensive and defensive line is how you win, all right? When you get up to Power 4 football, you can win because you have a great quarterback. You can win because you have a great running back and they can cover up an average offensive line. FCS level, Sun Belt level, Group of 5 level, a good offensive or defensive line is the reason that you will win or lose. Appalachian State defensively. And here's where the fun part comes in. Defensively, Appalachian State had 15 interceptions last year. Last year, they allowed the second fewest passing yards per game in the Sun Belt at 200 yards per game. Cornerback Ethan Johnson, a name Clemson fans will want to keep an eye on. Second team all Sun Belt selection, broke up 11 passes, picked off 156 tackles last year as a sophomore. He is back, starting at cornerback this year. Nate Johnson, already one of App State's best defensive players overall. He's a South Carolina guy. He's a guy that may have a little extra oomph in the tank for this game at maybe not being considered. And I don't know if he was or not, but not getting a scholarship here. Like maybe he wants to prove, he's one of those guys. I don't know that for certain. It's worth keeping an eye on. Nate Johnson led the team in sacks last year with 7.5, led the team in tackles for a loss last year with 8.5. He is 6'5" and goes about 235, built like a brick, what particular type of house. It is a young front seven for Clemson, though. So here's where I'm going. I'm going very conservative in the pass game. Now, that's not because I don't want to get Cade more comfortable in it. I do. All right, I do. He had a couple of shots in that Georgia game that you almost went, oh, maybe he can throw the football. But this game, to me, is a wonderful opportunity because at this point, you're committed to Cade Klubnik for the season. All right? Like, that's your guy this year. This is a fantastic opportunity to give Cade Klubnik an opportunity to get comfortable in the pass game. I don't need you hitting home run balls here. If I am the offense, if I am Riley or Dabo, whoever is calling the plays at whatever given point during the game, I'm doing two things. Phil Maffa is getting 35 carries in this game. I'm running that man's leg off. Why? Because the front seven for Appalachian State is, if there is a weakness defensively, it is their weakness. It's a young front seven defensively. You got a couple of guys returning across the defensive line, but that's a seven that's made up largely of sophomores, some of whom got PT last year as freshmen, but maybe not a full season's worth, right? It is the weakness. Defensive backs are good for Appalachian State. So what I do not want to do if I'm Clemson, what I don't want to do, great one, is overwork Cade Klubnik, is ask Cade to do too much. Because if Cade goes out there and he's really challenging this defense, and let's say theoretically in challenging this defense, he throws an early pick, maybe he throws a couple of picks over the course of the game, you're doing two things. Number one, you're giving Appalachian State exactly what they want. And number two, well, I guess three things. Number one, you're giving Appalachian State exactly what they want, which in that point, you're feeding them, right? Appalachian State, I'm going to tell you right now, because one of the things I enjoy doing is going through and reading all over the message boards of the away teams. I like to go behind enemy lines a little bit and get a vibe for what the other team is vibing to. They believe they can win this game. Genuinely. Not like, hurrah, shish, boom, bob, let's go team. Appalachian State believes that they can come in and Michigan you, that they can come in and knock off a top 25 FBS team in their house. If you give them a couple of picks and let that defense start to feel like they're feasting a little bit, and that Momo goes up on the sideline, that emotion comes up on the sideline for Appy State, they become very dangerous. So I need 30 carries out of Maffa, and I do want Cade throwing the ball, but I'm not asking him to do too much. I'm asking him to go through the reads, and if it's not there, don't force it, because if you lose this game, it will be because Cade Klubnik has thrown one or more interceptions.
See, I believe that there's a legitimate fear, and there was before the season started, that Georgia might beat them twice. And if they would have,
Dabo literally said that.
Yeah, if they would have been competitive against Georgia, I don't think the fear would be warranted, but they were not. And they were in the first half. That was a good first half. It was a defensive first half. But the second half, they fell apart. Here's the thing: if they come out and they struggle a little bit with App State, that's going to give App State all the yeah. See, I told you we can hang with this team. We can hang with it. And then on the other side, Clemson might be thinking, oh no, here we go again. And that's a formula to be upset. It is for sure. And it's not like they're coming. This is not a gimme by any stretch of those. I mean, come on, it's App State. And I know it was a long time ago when they did that, but you just pointed out how they're picked to win their conference. And they usually are whenever, every single year, they're picked to win. I just, mentally, where is Clemson? Because that really will factor in.
So because
the coaches can pound it in your head, but it's up to the individual players, and it's through osmosis. If a couple guys are thinking a certain way, it can spread really quickly.
Oh, for sure. So there's a couple of thoughts I have there. I will start with this. I'm going to tell you straight up right now. I'm taking Appalachian State to cover. They're 17-point dogs. I'm taking them to cover. I think this game can be and probably will be within 17 points when it's all said and done, because I do think that Appalachian State has more than respectable, has a good offense. I think that they have defensively enough that they can create a turnover or two. And if they create a turnover or two and it kills off a little bit of whatever Clemson's got cooking, and it builds up whatever Appalachian State's got cooking, I think that can make it a little bit interesting. That number at 17 on the dot right now. So after the game against Georgia, I watched the post-game presser, and one of the players that Clemson brought to the podium was Cade Klubnik. And Cade had his Tebow moment, all right? He got on the mic, and he said, look, whatever happens the rest of this season, whatever happens the rest of my career, whatever happens to me here, the one thing, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close. He said, the one thing that I want to ensure is that the dudes on this team will never say I gave up. Will never say I let them down. Will never say that I wasn't going out there and putting it on the line for them. And you could see the rest of the guys up there at the podium kind of like shaking the head. Yeah, he said, look, I'm going to be in here early tomorrow. I'm going to work harder this week than I've ever worked before. Now, I do think for a lot of players, there is some level of like lip service platitudes. You lost and you got smoked. Of course you're going to. What player is going to come out and go, that sucks, but like they're better than us. What did you expect? We're going to go back to the usual, right? Like nobody's going to say that. So on one hand, kind of useless platitudes. On the other hand, I'd like to believe that's true. And you will see a different variety, a different mentality out of this team than we saw last week against Georgia, where, again, let's point out, they played real good football for 2.5 quarters. Oh, they played football good enough to keep them in a game with Georgia for 2.5 quarters before Georgia went full Georgia on them.
Well, at halftime, you're still thinking, okay, which team's going to come out? Whoever makes those adjustments. Because it was that close.
For sure. Which is, by the way, one of the reasons that I have said this week, and we may say it again on Monday. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I think in-game coaching is a part of the problem for Clemson right now. Right? Like, I think that Dabo kind of has the Saban mentality of, and I pointed this out all the time, Nick Saban was not a great in-game strategist. He wasn't. Nick Saban did 2 things. He had the most disciplined team on any football field his football team was on. He had a disciplined team. Number 1. And number 2, he surrounded himself with guys who are X's and O's guys, and he gave them the reins on game day. Go back and watch any Nick Saban game. You'll see him with the headset. You'll see him talking. You'll never see Saban with the Waffle House menu. You'll never see it. You'll never see him with the iPad or with the what do they call it? Dry erase board. You'll never see that. He lets his dudes. I don't know that Dabo Swinney does that. I think he wants his fingers in there, and I don't think they X and O, or at least it doesn't feel like they X and O as well as you'd like them to. Dabo looks at it the way Nick Saban looked at it for Alabama, which is we're going to play our game, and we're just going to – it doesn't matter what you do. We're going to do what we do so damn well that you can't physically stop it. But the reality is you ain't Bama. You don't have the talent Bama had during the Saban era. And frankly, I don't know that the discipline is there like it was for Nick Saban in Alabama. So I don't think that style works, which is part of the reason I have said a number of times, I think the in-game on-field coaching is a bit of a problem for Clemson right now. Part of the reason that team has not reached the lofty expectations the last couple of years. I'll tell you what, Appalachian State, by all accounts, and Diesel will be able to speak more about this coming up this afternoon on Wire to Wire from 3 to 7 with Diesel and Cole Bryson. He's a big Appy State guy. He'll be there Saturday.
No, are you serious?
I know. It's wild. It's wild. He'll be able to tell you more. But one of the things that Appalachian State fans pride themselves on is the fact that they've got a coaching staff that adjusts very well. And if they do that against Clemson and Clemson can't answer, it could get interesting. Athletically, on paper, you're demonstrably better than Appalachian State. You are a better football team on paper. My question mark is, are you going to be a better football team upstairs? Are you going to be a better football team in terms of discipline? Because defensively, this is a very disciplined team. It's a very athletic team, and it's a team that prides itself on creating havoc and causing turnovers. If you ask Cade to do too much, and let's say he throws an early pick, opening drive, second drive, third drive, he throws an early pick, and that goes to his head a little bit, we might have an interesting football game on our hands.
How much do they have to win by to quell that little that fear that's growing in Clemson fans?
Cover.
Okay.
Cover. You have to listen. The cover is this is what I say when I talk about spreads and whatnot. The cover is what is expected of you. Because you got to keep in mind, it's a combination of 2 things. It's a combination of the line setters and their algorithms. So you got the data analyst side of it and what the fans expect. The fans expect you're going to win this game by 17. You mash those 2 things together, you get a number. It's your point spread, 17 in this case. It is expected for you to be 17 points better than Appy State. If this team wins by 3 or 7, this was what I said about South Carolina. You were 21-point favorites. You escaped with a 4-point victory. That is a emotional loss, even if it's a win on the scoreboard. That's why I hammered them earlier. If Clemson comes out and wins this game by 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 points, we're going to have the same conversation about them next week, even if we all agree that Appalachian State is good. Good, like Alonzo when he reads the Sports Flash.
Wow, compliments. That's weird. The difference between a win and a loss was the length of a toe for the Baltimore Ravens, who were knocked off in the first NFL game of the 2024 season by the Kansas City Chiefs. No, Kansas City did what they were supposed to do. They won 27-20. Lamar Jackson threw for 273 yards and a touchdown and ran for 122 yards, but missed 2 open wide receivers in the end zone, and they lost. Patrick Mahomes had 291 yards through the air with a touchdown and a pick, while Chiefs rookie Xavier Worthy scored both a rushing and receiving touchdown in his debut. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott told the media yesterday that he believes a new contract with the team is likely, telling media that while he doesn't have a timeline for a deal, he believes his agent and the team are working daily to reach an agreement. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. It's Furman versus Charleston Southern right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate. Jim Cam.
So call now. Take action. Get lasting joint pain relief with help from QC Connect. Give them a call at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Asheville. 864-448-3772.
Where does my family look forward to going to all year? Mad World Haunted Attraction. They have so much to do for fall entertainment, like mini golf, carnival games, and even axe throwing. We love making s'mores by the bonfire, taking selfies with the roaming characters, and now with the no scare medallions, my little ones are able to brave the haunted house experience. They talk about it all year long. Mad World is much more than a haunted house. It's a fall tradition like no other. Grab your tickets now at madworldattractions.com and get ready.
Well,
it almost makes it weird.
It makes it weirder because, again, you got an old, sickly woman up in the middle.
Away we go. Our number 3 of the Rob Brown Show goes now, ladies and gentlemen. In
three, like the number of times that we've won the South Carolina Broadcasters Association award for best sports show in the state of South Carolina. That's 3.
3 time. Going for 4. Told the big boss downstairs yesterday. I'm like, we want 4. And he looked at me. He gave me like the side eye. He's like, well, I want you to get 4. And I'm like, we want it for different reasons. He said, what do you mean? I said, you want it for 4 because then you get to say we're the home of the 4-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year Award. And that's great. We want the 4th one so that we can say we are the 4-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year Award winners. Whoa! And he said, oh. And that's good enough for me. The recognition.
Would he have recognized that fact that we want to go 5 time?
No, that's a little deeper in the fandom rabbit hole. But the woo gets it for everybody knows woo. Everybody knows woo. Woo. That's it. Coming up in this hour of the show here in about 39 minutes from right now, the great Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast is going to join us. We will talk to Rashad and set up this weekend's Week 1 contest, 1 p.m. on Saturday. The Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, live from the New Orleans Superdome in the Bayou, the Big Easy, to Crescent City, hosting the Panthers this weekend. Bryce Young and Derek Carr, just a couple of future Hall of Famers getting together and going quarterback
Can
duel.
you guys really talk stuff to each other? I mean, can you?
Oh, hell yeah.
With how bad both teams have been the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude. How bad? I know you're a Chief fan. You don't know what it's like to have fun a bad team.
Wow.
But some of
I'm
us.
going to meet a guy who talks like that someday.
That's what you sound like in my head when you say stuff like that.
I probably sound like that no matter what I say.
When you say stuff like that.
See, when I hear your voice, I think award winner. But, I'm just a whiff and an and.
I mean, I hear award winner too. I just hear an award winner that's also like, my team's really good. We haven't been bad since you were born. Sucker.
Just want to point out.
That's what I hear.
I also pull for the Panthers. And I hope they whip that New Orleans booty just so I can come in Monday and laugh. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I can't wait to hear what Rashad has to say, though.
We will talk about that coming up at 8:40 this morning. Then at 9 a.m., at least one of the fellas from the Moving the Chains podcast will join us here on the show. I know for a fact John Epps will be here. I do not know about Kevin or Jarrell yet.
Was there another concert last night that Kevin, was at late? Maybe perhaps a NFL party or something.
All you got.
Must be nice to not work on Friday.
All you got is a 3-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year award-winning show that wants to give you time to come on and talk football, to put on display to the world your knowledge of the local high school football scene, and Kev can't be bothered to get out of bed for it. I got to tell you, disrespectful.
Shout out to John for wearing the hat last week.
Shout out.
And hopefully we get another Jarrell sighting before the year's over, because that's always a pleasure.
It is.
For sure.
Love Jarrell. But we'll find out. At least John will be here. We'll see if anybody else is going to join. Coming up this morning at 9 a.m., we'll run you through the high school football week dose slate, give you some of the bigger games and players to watch for in high school football. That'll be at 9 o'clock. 9:20, Lonzo and I will go up and down the NFL schedule from week 1 and make our picks, predictions, projections, and prognostications. All of that coming up later in the show. Couple of texts that we have gotten so far. Texter said, man, I'm pulling for App State, but I think it's going to be like the NC State game last week. They have a chance, but Clemson pulls it out in the second half. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Clemson fans are going to be diamond making clenched at halftime, if you know what I'm saying. All right? If you know that expression, you know what I'm talking about. I think Clemson fans are going to be clinched up tight by halftime. It is going to have to be a game where you separate yourself with better athletes and conditioning in the second half. But it is also going to be a game that I'm going to need to see adjustments being made. It is going to be a game that I am going to need to see the Clemson offense, recognizing what defenses App State is showing and adjusting to them. And I don't think that is an option. I think that is a mandate, frankly. I don't think you can get away from this game if you are not actively tinkering with your offense during the course of the game. If you're just letting them do their thing and you don't respond to it, don't be shocked if Appalachian State ends up having a little something for you, all right? Now, I'll say this. This game don't kick off until 8 o'clock at night, and it's in Death Valley. Appalachian State is a team that you should be able to influence the game for an 8 p.m. kick. You should be able to influence the game with your crowd. That Death Valley has to be rocking on Saturday night. Will it be? I'd like to think so. That you're 0-1, but the one is to the one, Georgia. All right. You want to get back on the horse? Yeah, fill this place out. Now, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. What I'm not going to do is start macho man dropping elbows on crowd sizes. All right. I get it. There's a million variables that go into that. That's not my style. It's not my thing. All right. What I am going to say is it'll help. It'll help. It'll help if that place is 70,000 strong. It'll help if it's full throat. It'll help if the boys take to the field with the tiger paw on the helmet and look up and see a raucous fan base that still believes, hey, yeah, you drop one to number one, but we're still them. But that's a factor. That ain't a primary factor. It's a secondary factor.
There's no way that stadium is not full Saturday.
I'd like to think so.
It's a first home game. They're going to be there. There's probably some people tailgating already.
I hope so. I hope that place is packed to the gills and just max volume. We'll see. But that's not – they could play that game in front of an empty stadium. This game, to me, is an opportunity for Clemson. It's an opportunity to kind of get right a little bit. Because you say what you want about what happened last week against Georgia. You can say what you want about your expectations moving forward. But let's call it what it is. This is a game against a group of 5 team, a Sun Belt team that just in terms of talent, you should be able to win. Just in terms of talent. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Clemson's off next week. Then they got NC State. Now, NC State did not look the way that I expected NC State to look in week 1. This is, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, this is on paper, and I know we're kind of hanging on that quite a bit right now. On paper, this is the best NC State team that Dave Doran has put together during his time in Raleigh. This is on paper the best team we've seen. But it took them a little while to get rolling against the Western Carolina Catamounts. Catamounts? Yeah, Catamounts, right? They're the Catamounts. Or they're the Wildcats. No, they're the Catamounts. I was right. Why am I questioning myself? I'm good at this. Hey,
good job.
The North Carolina Wolfpack, North Carolina State Wolfpack, my bad. They're in Charlotte on Saturday against Tennessee. Y'all, I warned you preseason. The Volunteers ain't no joke. Believe the hype.
I don't. I'm not buying it. I'm not.
Okay.
I've been here half my life. I've heard about Tennessee being back half my life. They ain't been back.
There are right now.
Who's been back more times?
The U,
Tennessee or Miami? Really?
Because I'm thinking the U's been back. The U's been back since 1995. They ain't won a damn thing.
I think it's been Tennessee. Well, this year, but they look really good. They're really good. Okay.
The difference is this year they do. Number one. The difference is this year. Number two. There are right now.
By the way, Miami looks really good too.
Miami does look really good. And I was about to say, there are 2 Heisman candidates right now. One of them plays quarterback at the U. The other plays quarterback at Tennessee. Those are your 2 Heisman frontrunners as of today.
Shedeur Sanders is going to win the Heisman.
No, he's not, because that team's going 3-9. You're not winning a Heisman on a 3-9 team.
You can.
You want to boo box bets this thing? I'll bet you Shedeur Sanders ain't in New York for the ceremony.
Well, we don't do that anymore. And no, I don't want to do that. But I hope it happens just because it makes you angry.
because it would be stupid as hell.
Would it? Did you watch him play last week?
No, Lonzo, I skipped Colorado's opening game, the first game of the college football season. Yeah, I definitely didn't watch that.
Okay, that's your normal voice, by the way.
Yeah, sometimes it is. You're not
wrong. He looked pretty good. I'm just saying.
He looked very good.
Yeah, and I know you can say competition and everything. We'll see. We'll see.
Let's see what the black shirts do this weekend. We'll see what that Nebraska defense does this weekend. Then we'll check back in. And also, by the way, we'll see what that Nebraska does.
You trusting in Matt Rule to handle things?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I have already told you.
All right.
Speaking of teams that are back, so are the Huskers. That team's good this year.
What
Dylan Raiola's a stud.
What league do they play in?
That would be yours, I believe, correct? I didn't say they're going to win the Big Ten.
Okay. All right.
I said they're going to be good.
All right.
You'd be good. Only one team can win the Big Ten. Texture says Cam Newton says Colorado has a realistic chance to win a national title. UNC Chris. I'm not going to do this because I like Cam Newton a lot. I really do. Like when the Panther fans were unnecessarily giving Cam Newton hell, when you guys were trying to run him out of town, and we all saw it. You may deny all you wish, but we all saw it. I'm a big Cam Newton guy. I like him a lot. I'd love to have Cam on the show. I'm going to assume that Cam Newton was, excuse me, I don't know where that came from, enjoying himself when he made that prediction. All right.
Man, that was like strong wind. I felt it over here. Don't do that towards me. You're breaking some kind of rule.
I mean, it was a dramatic reenactment. All right. But that's that. I will say this about this Clemson Appy State game.
Dealing with contact.
I will say this about both the Clemson Appy State game and the South Carolina Kentucky game, although both teams are on opposite ends of this thing, right? South Carolina is a dog, a minor dog, but a dog in this game. Clemson is 17-point favorite. This game to me is about strengths and weaknesses. And it's about covering up the weaknesses and playing to the strengths and not much else. That's all I'm looking for out of both of these teams, because in my opinion, both of these teams have a reason to do something here. South Carolina is a 9-point dog. They are plus 280 on the money line if you believe they can go to Lexington and get the win. I have already told you, if they don't win this game, you ain't going bowling. If you don't win this game, you will not do better than 5-7 this year. And if you don't win this game, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think you're getting to 5-7. If you don't win this game, I think Carolina's finishing the season 4-8. And I can make an argument, if you don't win this game, I could see a 3-9 season down the pipe. Because you got Akron, you got Wofford, and those right now today, those are the only two wins I'd say are guaranteed.
Oh, you're talking about Clemson.
No, I'm bouncing back and forth.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the reason I bring that up is because to me, this is a play to your strengths and you give yourself a chance game. And I feel when I say give yourself a chance for Carolina, I mean win this game. For Clemson, I mean cover. Yes, I am using
and also win this game.
We'll win the game. But I'm talking about the cover because this is one of those times. There's an old expression. You've heard it many times if you've been listening to sports talk anything for any length of time. Good teams win, great teams cover. That's the expression. Good teams win, great teams cover. You guys have covered the spread. Lonzo, the Kansas City Chiefs, 7 of your last 7 games you covered the spread, including last night. Great teams cover. Covers the expectation. That number, that cover number, that spread, that's the expectation. And the reason I trust it as a solid expectation is because it's not just coming from one party. It is coming from a bunch of computers in Vegas that can look through every result of every snap of every football play of every football game in the history of the sport and do so at lightning speed. It's also made up of guys who have those numbers, have that software, have that data, and then can add in the human variables that a computer can't figure out. And then it's made up of the fans. And again, it is one thing for a fan to go, I expect X. It's another thing for a fan to say, I've put my own money on X, right? This is part of the reason I even though we can't sports gamble in South Carolina, I got to take a 30-minute drive up the road to North Carolina to do it. All right? Can't do it in South Carolina. I drive up the road to the border to go do it. The reason I always bring gambling into the equation, even though you can't do it here, is because it is about the expectations. It's about the expectations. Derrick Henry's rushing yardage last night, 55 yards. He did not meet the expectation. I put that on John Harbaugh, but I also put it on Derrick Henry. 17 points you are favored by, Clemson. That's my expectation of you to get the dub, is to cover that up. How do you cover it up? You can not turn the ball over. Can't do it. You must be at the worst 0, even level in the turnover department. If there is a plus number next to Appy State's turnovers, this game's going to get dicey for you. I'm not talking about 2 or 3. I'm saying 1. If there is a turnover, if Clemson is -1 in the turnover department, this game's dicey. If you are -2, it's going to be a last possession game. If you're -3, you'll lose this game. That is a statement I'm comfortable riding. -1, close game. -2, you are sweating to the last possession. -3, you're losing because Appalachian State's not bad. So these two teams, to me, this is about meeting expectations this weekend. And you meet expectations this weekend by playing to the strength. I've told you what I think they are for both teams. For South Carolina, it's play excellent, leaning on the defensive line to take away Kentucky's run game entirely and force Brock to get it done. On the offensive side, it's moving the pocket. It's keeping Lenora Sellers moving horizontally left and right, keep the second level of Kentucky's defense from attacking. Do those two things, you got a chance. For Clemson, it's own the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. It is throw it a little bit, but not force it. No turnovers, no easy picks to a very good, very athletic defensive backfield. On the defensive side of the ball, pin the ears back and kill. That's it. Pin the ears back of your D linemen, send everybody, and do not let them get in a rhythm. You do those things, you'll cover the 17. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, some of the biggest NFL storylines of the weekend and of the season as we get set for NFL Week 1. Then Rashad Beard at 8:40 to talk Panther football. John Epps and question mark at 9 o'clock to talk high school ball. And then whatever the hell y'all want for the rest of the show on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, one more reading. We're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
guys on the field with him. I think it's really important as we go through series, particularly after good drives and bad drives, we're able to collect information, be able to troubleshoot things, and also the players can feel the plan, feel the communication and the focus of the coach. I think it's really important for the filling out that.
Kickoff is set for 1 o'clock Sunday on Channel 3 on the Panthers Radio Network, presented by Morris Jenkins.
Yeah, Tim, I bet you didn't even notice it was outside your window, dude. He's so focused. Should I feel lesser than that my wife asked one of her friends' husbands to come over and fix my lawnmower? Or should I be grateful if they actually get it fixed today? I don't know. Let's face it. You could probably pick a guy off the street and he'd know more than me. So, I mean, I've done everything that I know to do.
Honestly, I used to feel that way, but the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that there are things that other people do that I can't, but there are also things I can do that other people can't. And I don't think that, being able to fix a lawnmower engine is something that you should feel shame for not knowing how to do. Now, I will say this. I'm also the dude that if it breaks, I'm on YouTube looking it up, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's really just because I want to learn myself.
No,
right?
I tried all that and I still can't make it work.
I taught myself I can change the oil on my motorcycle because I taught myself how to do it. I can change the oil in a car because I taught myself how to do it. Don't mean I'm going to. I will still pay someone else to do it because I don't want to put the time and energy into it. But if we find ourselves in a crap situation where I need an oil change today and nobody's open, I can do it if I have to.
I just want to say, Wesley, really quick, it's genetics, but how's the audio out? That's weird. I don't know. It's genetics, but Rob can grow out a mean looking head of hair. It's amazing. And then he just cuts it off right when it's so close to being, where it could have been. I'm disappointed that your hair doesn't grow out into a furrow though. Because I think you would have some serious Bob Ross vibes if you were able to do that.
What's really funny is my dad's did and my grandpa's did. I got my mom's hair, and she will tell you the story. She's told it to everybody. When I was born, and she makes a joke of it, but I think it bothers her. When I was born, my mom said she made one wish. She had one prayer, and that it was I would get her hair because all my dad's family has the Bob Ross fro if they grow theirs out, right? So they did when they were young. So my mom said, I made one wish when you were born. It's that you got my hair. I didn't care about anything else. I got my mother's hair and I looked just like my dad. She got her wish. So when I grow the lettuce out, it is thick and it is luscious and it is immaculate to the point that I made the realization when I grew it out before I cut it last time, after I get married, I'm not getting it cut again. I'm growing it out where yours is. But what I will have to do is I will have to get the undercut. Everything from here down will have to be shaved and just long on top. Because if I let it all grow out, it triangles like a colonial settler.
Well, I have to do the sides because one of mine sides grows bigger than the other. I was told just because of how I sleep. I don't know why. Okay, whatever. I don't like wings. I did think about having the entire thing shaved underneath. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. I thought about doing that, but I've never pulled the trigger on that. I'm so close though, because I shaved the side. It's just going over a couple more inches on each side.
Yeah. So mine would go like because I have 4 cowlicks. I have 2 in the back, 2 in the front. So when I grew it out last time and the guy was suggesting it to me, he goes, what we'll do is we'll draw a line from cowlick to cowlick in the front and the back, and then everything below those we'll shave down to the skin and just let the hair go. And I was like, well, won't that look bad? And he goes, as thick as your hair is, when it falls over that, nobody will be able to tell. You know what? I was going to talk NFL storylines here, and I'm still going to get to those down the line because NFL season starts this weekend. But I'm going to react to this instead because It's my show and I want to. I don't pull that card often. All right. I try not to. I say all the time, and I mean it when I say it. It's our show. All right. It's my show. It's Lonzo's show, and it's you, the Armada. It's your show. It is our show. I put when I gameplay in the show, I absolutely take into consideration what you guys are texting about, tweeting about, calling about. You know, if you text the show, as UNC Chris has done multiple times today, as Steve did earlier in the show, you text the show, it's going to get talked about. All right. Maybe not in that moment, but I'm going to bring this one up because I want to, and I'm a selfish butthole. All right. It is what it is. Yesterday, great one. You may remember, or you may not. I don't know. I'm not you. But you may remember yesterday.
If you were, you'd be so pretty.
It's true. I had a bit of an issue. And I had a bit of an issue because I said, hey, look, if you are one of the people that are upset about college football changing, you shouldn't be mad about the portal and you shouldn't be mad about NIL. You should be mad at the ways that those things are impacting the traditions. That's what college football is about. It's about the traditions. It's about the pageantry. It's about the pride, right? Those things, just because players can come and go as they wish, and just because players can now legally make the scratch that they were already always making, college football is still, at its core, at its heart, the reason that as much as everybody's going to say, oh, it's dying, it's not the same, it's not good, you're all still watching. And the ratings prove that. All the ratings from week one are better than they were week one last year. I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction now. Let me go out on the thin branch. All the ratings in week two will be better than they were week two last year. Okay? You're still watching. And that is because deep down, while you may not like that players can come and go to the schools they wish to play for whatever reason they wish to or not to play for them, while you might be upset that players can earn money now, although, spoiler alert, they always have. Now we just don't ban them from the game if they get caught.
Handshakes just don't happen anymore now, right?
Yeah, but they used to happen all the time.
What I'm saying is that's just to cut down on handshakes because now you don't have to do that.
Yeah, and on top of that, now every school can do it, not only the couple at the top. All right, so you shouldn't be upset about those things. Those aren't the things to get mad about. What you should get upset about is the places that traditions are changing in response. And I can't give you a long list of examples now. I can tell you down the line. It will. I think down the line, you will start seeing, here's one of them. While I understand and they have the right to do it, here's one of them. I promise you within the next 3 years, you are going to see a massive influx, great one, in the number of corporate logos on team uniforms. Okay? There will be a day, because they can't afford not to. There will be a day when those clean, crisp, classic, all-white Penn State unis have a big old red or blue or purple or yellow patch on the shoulder that breaks them up. It's inevitable. There will be a point where
one day... Do you really
think
it's going to go against the color scheme, though? I don't know.
What do you mean? Every team's doing that. The Braves have a big-ass yellow quick-crete patch on their sleeves. Yes, they absolutely will. And it doesn't matter what the Braves can be wearing, their Sunday reds, their home whites, their road grays. They have a big ass yellow patch on the arm.
That's tacky.
Yes, it is. I totally agree. And not only do they, but if you go to Truist Park in the ATL and you buy an authentic jersey, Zoe, you're wearing that yellow patch, whether you like it or not. I hope you're a big Quick Crete guy because you're rocking that logo, bud.
I'm a fan of Quick Crete.
I've used it.
You don't want to do it the long way. I mean,
that's true.
You want Quick Crete.
That's true. But the point here is, yes.
By the way, Quick Crete, if you would like to sponsor the 3-time, winner of the South Carolina Broadcasters Association,
we'll wear yellow every day.
We'll do that.
Oh yeah, listen, you put zeros on a paycheck. I'll wear whatever you want. All right. But here's the thing. Think about it. What happens down the line when here come the Penn State Nittany Lions for tonight's whiteout game against the Michigan Wolverines, and out they come with the white hats and the white shirts and the white pants and the blue numbers and a big yellow Buc-ee's logo on the shoulder. All right. Now, is that the end of the world? No. Is that going to change the game of football? No. But that's one of those things. I'm not a Penn State guy. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm an anti-Penn State guy. I actively don't like them because of how hard, sorry if this is you, their fans have been fighting to keep alive the memory of a man whose memory should not be kept alive in Joe Paterno. Sorry, is what it is. All right? So, all that being said, that's what you should be upset about. Here's one for you. Remember yesterday I talked about the fact that I picked out in that game, great one, Florida State v. Boston College. It was real weird because Boston College kept finding themselves in third down scenarios. And as somebody who used to cover that team extensively and has been to Doak Campbell Stadium for a number of games, it used to be that when that stadium was sold out and rocking, when a team would get on third down and that war chant fired up, and 70,000 strong started dropping the war chant on you, you might hate it because you're outside of the tribe, as they say down in Tallahassee. But you got it. It's one of those things that even though I hate it, you got to respect it. It gets loud.
You mean like that really loud chant last night at the Kansas City game?
Yeah, the one that they all took from Florida State. That's the one.
I just believe
That's
it's
the one.
all. Who cares?
So for the record, so do the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah,
but the point is,
I don't know who did that originally. Actually,
Florida State.
Are you sure?
Actually, I'll take you one step further. The answer is Choctawhatchee High School in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where Ann and Bobby Bowden attended a game because one of their family members was playing on that team. Bobby Bowden loved it, took it back to Tallahassee. Florida State started it very early in the Bobby Bowden tenure. It was carried from there to the Atlanta Braves by Deion Sanders. Remember, he went from FSU wearing number 2 to number 2 for the Atlanta Braves. He brought the chop with him. That's when Atlanta started. I actually don't know when you guys picked it up, but I do know it was after Florida State.
What high school did you go to?
Choctawhatchee High School.
So it's amazing. What a coincidence.
I've talked to Bobby Bowden about it before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me. His daughter is best friends with my mom down in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
So like I got it from him. That's horse's mouth, bud. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Point is here, on third down in this game between Boston College and Florida State, all of a sudden, it's third and long. Where's the war chant? Wasn't playing. Well, here's what happened. A statement put out by the Marching Chiefs. That's the band down there in Tallahassee, Florida. The Marching Chiefs in the athletic department, this is a statement I'm reading verbatim. The Marching Chiefs in the athletic department have enjoyed a relationship of mutual respect for decades. We regularly meet with our colleagues in athletics to discuss all aspects of the game day experience. Our mutual goal, as it always has been, is to help the team on the field and provide the best environment in college football for the fans. This continues to this day. The Marching Chiefs agreed in 2023 with the football team's request to introduce new music during third down. We believe this was a reasonable request. We take pride in our role in the game day experience, one that Seminole fans have come to expect. We will continue to work in partnership with the athletics with athletics to find ways to improve the game day experience. We encourage everyone to continue to support Coach Norvell and the football team. Go Noles. That is signed by the director of the bands, the director of the athletic bands, and the assistant director of athletic bands. Long story short, and this is also something I got from the horse's mouth from a friend of mine who works at the Tallahassee Democrat. The football team basically said, we don't want the war chant on third down. We want DJ music. We want hip-hop music. We want upbeat. We want tempo, yada, yada, yada. They took it to the band, and they said, no more war chant on third down. We play crappy techno now. And that's what happened. Zoe, I got a big problem with that. I damn sure got a big problem when the football team makes that request and then they go 0-2 against Georgia Tech and Boston College to start the season. I blame it on the football team. This is karma biting you in the ass, Norvell.
Well, as bad as this team is, wouldn't you just want that to be associated with them, and then next year the team gets better and they bring it back?
Bring it back.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, if I'm the band right now, I'm going right back to it this weekend. We're going right back to it. I don't care if I'm playing the war chant over the DJ. I don't care if I got a mix of and you're getting the chant on third down. I'll tell you what, football team, why don't you make a third down stop? Then we'll do what you want on third down, because what you done did ain't work. It ain't work. Rashad Beard up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
season opening loss tomorrow when they play host to Charleston Southern. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff. We'll have all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. Tomorrow's home opener will include pregame ceremonies honoring former Paladin defensive lineman Bryce Stanfield, who passed away on February the 9th following a brief illness. The Paladins enter the game ranked 15th in the AFCA poll. The Paladins drilled last week, falling 76-0 at Ole Miss. Charleston Southern fell 22-21 against the Citadel last.
I was waiting in your story for you to say, and you're the one who came up with the idea to do the tomahawk chop.
No, I wasn't born.
You just never gave me credit for it, but it was me.
It was me all along. Me all along. Oh, if I was a college athletic director, I would be running to get Sheets signed up as my sponsor.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Is your business stuck, struggling to grow, need more leads, traffic, and word of mouth? You could redesign your logo, build a new website, create your own app, throw darts at a board. But none of those will boom your business straight to the top. See, market leaders play by a different set of rules. Do you know how to become the brand people think of first and feel best about? Winning companies do, and they use this knowledge to gain an unfair advantage over you. I'm Mick Torbe, Senior Partner in the Wizard of Ads Marketing Group. We have the secrets to boom your business, and I've asked 4 of my most accomplished partners from across North America to teach you those secrets during a half-day seminar called Unfair Marketing, Tuesday, September 10th at the Spring Hill Suites in downtown Greenville. Normally, a day with one of my partners costs $5,000, but in cooperation with Odyssey Broadcasting, this event is just $300, and there's no sales pitch at all. Seating is limited. Learn more and register at unfairmarketing.org and get your unfair advantage.
It's the Labor Day sale for the Upstate Golf Card. Right now, you can get 7 rounds of golf for just $50. With the Upstate Golf Card, get access to premier Upstate courses like Greer Golf, The Rock, Pebble Creek, The Preserve at Verde, Carolina Springs, Rolling Green, Links O'Tryon.
Someday. They've been there a couple times, which is more than a couple of teams can say.
More than the Falcons.
American-made windows of the Upstate that Don and Pam show you how to save money on one of the best investments you'll ever make for your home. High utility bills, rotting window sills, moisture between.
Did you send them the thing?
Yep, sure did.
New windows, so make sure to get yours from American-made windows of the Upstate. Now they're made to outperform and outlast the competition because they're proudly made right here in America. You can find them online at AmericanMadeWindowsUpstate.com. The best windows are American-made.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line.
There is.
T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch. With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $3 off with 24 monthly bill credit.
The Silverdome, brother. I was in the building when that happened. I don't think I've ever laughed harder at a wrestling botch. Shad Beard, what it do, fella?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, brother. How you doing?
I am hanging in there.
I love it.
As usual.
Yeah, man. I watched the round table pod the other day, putting in the work. I like it.
Yep. Got to give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. He's a man of the people.
So Rob's says he's gonna talk stuff with you today, and I can't wait to.
I am not gonna talk.
I can't wait to.
My team sucks.
Yeah, but
we suck.
Yeah,
I know we suck.
But I mean, I want to hear
I'm
this.
talking to Rashad because Rashad's my guy, and we've been doing this for 3 years now. All right, that is what it is. But my team sucks. I just wanted, before we go on the air.
Yeah, like I haven't been here for the entire 3 years and didn't already know that.
Everyone knows that I know that my team freaking sucks.
Okay, doesn't mean you can't support them.
Give me just put in Spence Rattler day one.
Burn it down! Burn it down!
That is a soundbite recorded by Lonzo of me talking about the New Orleans Saints. We stink. We stink. We're going to stink.
Chill!
We're going to stink. I don't know what to tell you. Bet the underwin total. All right? I'm not kidding. Don't be shocked if Carolina wins this week. It sucks. I feel.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
I feel the way that I'm sure Rashad Beards felt like the last 3 years watching the Panthers. Now it's all the jokes I've had. All right. All the bleep talk I've done to Rashad's face at BOA. It's all coming back to bite me in the ass this year. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us ordinarily on Thursdays at this time, but my man was out in the field doing secret agent stuff yesterday, so he makes the move to today. What's up, big fella?
What's going on, guys? Man, football is back. What a great game last night. I'm excited. Let's talk.
You'll notice, Rashad, that over the past, 3 seasons we've been doing this, ordinarily, Saints-Panthers weekend, your boy rolls up here in the all black with the fleur-de-lis on the chest and on the hat bill and all that. Nope. Bro, I couldn't bring myself to do it today. Nope. We are going to stink.
Wow. I mean, I'm surprised. And you know what? It's because I did a preview with another Saints fan, Saints podcaster. The energy was the same, right? You guys are a little... It's not the same, hey, we're gonna kill you guys type thing. You guys are really kind of standoffish, a little cautious about talking stuff. And
Look, how can you not rock your colors?
Because we suck and it's our fault. You know, there's a difference between you did your best and you failed. Man, like everybody's heard it, right? It's okay to fail if you genuinely can walk away from the effort going, I did my best. We didn't. We kept Dennis Allen, for God's sakes. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, you got some issues. I mean, some of the cap stuff, the cap manipulation stuff, you get credit for when it's going well and you're able to put together a team. But then that oftentimes comes to get you back as well. So again, I'm not one to say, hey, we're just gonna win this game. I still got things I need to see before I'm all in, of course. But I feel good about where the Panthers are. And even if we don't win, I think it's going to be a really, really close game. But we can talk about it. Let's break it down.
Let's talk a little bit about it. Let's start with this. BY named the only offensive captain for the year this year. I saw an interview yesterday where he got asked, hey, are you tired of hearing about last year? And, I'll tell you this, BY, phenomenal when it comes to the interviews, right? Like, he's always level-headed. He's always clear. He said, look, at the end of the day, it's part of it, right? Like, that's part of whatever happens. That's part of it for me. He's got his weapons, or at least better weapons than we had last year going into this. He's got his quarterback or his coach, who is the QB whisperer, legit straight up. What do you need to see out of BY this weekend to feel good about keeping him there?
Yeah, I think Bryce just needs to be himself, and Canales, that's the big talk of the offseason, is build this offense to where Bryce can cook. Like, we've seen Bryce do well in creating, right, off platform, out of the offense, out of the structure of the offense. That's Bryce. If you go back to look at his Alabama film, that's what he did. And so I think you're going to get back to that. Bryce is going to be more comfortable in the offense. I think it's going to be put on his shoulder a little bit, because I think we'll have a hard time running the football against the Saints. We could talk about how bad the Saints are, but defensively, they're going to be good. And so I think it's going to be a good challenge to see how our offense stacks up. You know what I mean? So I think Bryce is going to be fine. Like you said, the weapons are there. The protection is there. And Bryce, he doesn't have to do too much. That's the thing. I don't want to see Bryce try to overcompensate and do too much. Just be yourself, play within the confines of the offense, and let's see what happens.
Talk to me about the run game a little bit. We saw Miles Sanders got banged up, finger injury in the second to last practice before this game. But we also know Chuba Hubbard RB1, or at least expected to be coming into this. Do we have an update on Miles Sanders' injury? Is he going to be available? And what is the balance and cohesion between the run game and the pass game in week 1?
Yeah, I think the Panthers want to run the football. Like I said, I think it's going to be tough against that Saints defense. But I think as far as Miles, I don't know what his status is, injury status is. I have no idea. I know Chuba's RB1, so even if he was healthy, it would be a combination of the two backs. But if he's not going to play, I do believe in Raheem Blackshear. We have Dylan Johnson also that was just recently signed to the practice squad, who's done pretty well here. So if Miles Sanders can't go, I fully expect that rotation to still happen with either Dylan Johnson getting promoted or Raheem Blackshear getting some reps at running back. So I think we're definitely going to be running the football. We're going to try to run the football. If we can run the football successfully, the Saints are really in trouble. But if not, I think Bryce is going to take a little bit on the shoulders and try to win throwing the football. So we'll see. We'll see.
If there is a strength to the Saints, it is likely to the defensive line. It's getting aged. Chase Young, Cam Jordan, older guys, but they still got some dog in them a little bit. To me, a huge chunk of this game is going to be on the outside tackles, keeping Bryce Young's pocket clean, keeping him upright, keeping him clean. Can they?
I hope so. I don't know if they can. I have not seen the entire unit play together, right? Damian Lewis, even during the preseason where we played our starters, did not play against the Bills. So we haven't seen it. And it's really tough for me to say what I want to see, because I know what I want. I don't know if I'm going to get that. And I don't know if they're going to be able to protect Bryce to his fullest extent. But we have invested a lot of money into that offensive line, and the hope is that it pays off and we get Bryce Young protected. A couple of pressures here and there are okay, but we don't want Bryce Young getting killed like he was last year. We need to protect him, keep him upright, allow him to process through that through his progressions and get the football to where it needs to go. So I hope that happens, and we'll see if it does.
All right, I want to craft a thought/question off one of the comments in the chat. Double O'Kane said, with competent coaching, which we have now, I believe Bryce has the type of year CJ had last year. Shrug emoji, #book it. Rashad, I'm going to say a thing, then I want your thoughts on it. I need Carolina Panther fans to be cautious, man, because I don't think they understand the situation in Houston last year, dramatically different than the situation in Carolina last year. I'm not saying you can't expect, maybe demand a better season, but asking to put him into the category of the season that CJ Stroud had last year is a recipe for disappointment. Super pleasantly surprised if he does, but I think if you're banking on that to happen, it might be a longer season than it needs to be for you.
Oh, yeah. I'm not one. I don't subscribe to that Bryce having a CJ year, but I think he'll be way better than he was last year. But CJ had an amazing year, and I don't want to have to compare these two guys for the rest of their careers, even though it is going to happen because they were in the same draft class. And I understand that. But Bryce is his own guy, and I do think you're seeing a level of confidence in Bryce Young that you have not seen last year. He was not like this. Even if you watch the game, I know it's against second and third team defense or whatever against the Bills, but he just seems to have a different level of command, and he trusts the guys. I think that's the biggest thing. He trusts his receivers. He trusts Adam Thielen. He trusts Deontay Johnson. He has weapons, and so I think Bryce is going to be better. But to say he's going to have a CJ Stroud type year is a bit much for me.
I would agree. Let's talk about the other side of the ball defensively. Obviously, going up against future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr and his New Orleans Saints. Listen, as a Saints guy, and I'm curious as to see kind of where I cross over with your interview the other day, which you guys can find on the Panther Panther Nation podcast YouTube channel. It's phenomenal. I watched about 30 minutes of it. Really enjoyed it. Look, dude, I think Alvin Kamara hit the expiration date. I hate it because that guy, it came quick, bro. Like spoiled milk. He was just there, and then he suddenly wasn't. And for whatever reason, I think Dennis Miller, I assume Kendre Miller must have, slept with DA's mom or something, because as much hype as there was around that guy, he can't get on the field. You lose Mike Thomas. You still got Olave, and Olave's a dude. All right, take the over on the passing yards. That's a guy. Man, the team just doesn't have the weapons that it's had in years gone by. Is this a pin the ears back and attack kind of game for Evero's defense?
I don't know, Rob. Listen, man. We have a question mark out opposite of Jadeveon Clowney. We don't know who the other we know, but we don't know if DJ Johnson can get it done. Right? DJ Johnson's a guy we drafted last year. The expectations were high since we spent the 3rd round pick on him, and it has not translated yet. But he does have a clear opportunity against a broken and battered Saints offensive line to get it done. And so we need him to step up opposite of Jadeveon Clowney to pin his ears back and get the job done. Put some pressure on Derek Carr. I'm not saying I don't think that the Saints offense has expired by any means. I think they got a new offensive coordinator. The offense is going to look a little different. Shaheed, I like a lot. Olave is very solid. I'm not sleeping on this offense, but I will say this is a great opportunity for us to get some momentum going with our defense. I know that I trust Evero. I trust his scheming. He's a bend but don't break type of guy. We're gonna give up some yards, but hopefully we don't give up too many points. And hopefully that it ultimately wins us the game. And if we can force a couple of turnovers and win that turnover battle, I really think the Saints are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one a bunch on Monday. Fill in the blank here. We got about a minute left with Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. Fill in the blank. The Carolina Panthers open the season 1-0 with a victory on the road over the New Orleans Saints if blank.
Bryce is protected. If Bryce is protected and we're not giving up 15+ pressures and 5+, 3+ sacks, I think we can get it done. This offense is Canales knows how to go against this defense. Like he schemed. It's not like he's new to the division. He knows the Saints defense. He's prepped against. He's done well. Had some success against it last year with the Bucs. So he knows what he's doing. And so all we need is Bryce to get protected. If we can protect Bryce, we can win this game.
You got, let's see, Scott in the chat saying Panthers beating the Saints 100%. Rashad, all I'm going to say is you better bring that same energy with your chest next week, Scott. If they don't, baby.
Yeah, for me, I'm not on that train. I think the Saints can still win this game, but I think it'll be a close one. I do think the Panthers edge it out, but I think it'll be a close one.
Look, I'll tell you this. I just went up and looked up the odds. Saints -4, you get 3 for being at the house. That means Vegas thinks the Saints are a point better than Carolina, and I'll tell you, if I'm Carolina, I feel good about that because I think this team's stepping backwards, but I want to point out that's from a team that, like last year, I expected 10-7 from last year. I think you're looking at a 7-win season for New Orleans this year. If Carolina is a point less than a team that won 7 or is expected to win 7, that's a step up for you guys. And for me, this season's about trajectory, Rashad Beard, not the number at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we'll surprise a couple people during the season. Again, this is not the same Carolina Panthers as last year. It's different energy around here, and I think we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done.
Rashad Beard next Thursday. Somebody's gonna be up in here talking a whole bunch of smack, big fella. I hope it's me, but we'll find out.
I hope it's me, man. Keep pounding, Panthers. Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
My guy, Rashad Beard. Follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to the YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. Make sure you are liked up. Turn on that bell so you don't miss everything y'all doing live. Y'all going to be live on Sunday, post, pre, whatever?
We're going to do a live reaction during the game. We'll be on a little bit after. But yeah, man, tune in to Panther Nation Podcast. We're going to be live streaming during the game.
All right. I'm going to come by and check it out if we're winning. And no other reason.
Yeah, don't come if you're losing because I'm going to be talking all kind of junk.
That's fair. Me too. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation Podcast. See you next Thursday, big dog. Have a good weekend. Enjoy week 1.
All right, guys. Thank you.
See you. Rashad Beard for the Panther Nation Podcast. Lonzo from The Rob Brown Show.
Wow. Great transition. The Atlanta Braves failed to sweep the Rockies, dropping the third game of the series last night, 3-1. Ronaldo Lopez was tagged with his 5th loss on the season, despite giving up just 2 runs while striking out 11 through 6 innings. Atlanta falls to 8 games behind Philadelphia in the division and are now tied for the Mets for the final wild card spot. Difference between a win and a loss was the length of a toe for the Baltimore Ravens, who were knocked off in the first NFL game of the 2024 season. Rob wrote that. They weren't knocked off. They weren't expected to win by the Kansas City Chiefs, 27-20. Lamar Jackson threw for 273 yards and a touchdown and ran for 122 yards and still lost, but missed 2 open wide receivers in the end zone, which is why they lost on the game's final drive. Tune in tomorrow at 4:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Charleston Southern Buccaneers. It's Furman versus Charleston Southern, also known as Southern, right here on the home of the Paladins football, the Fan, upstate. Yeah, but it's a classic shirt, Steven. I also have one of those. Actually, I think I have two of them. And a hat.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-580-7766. 800-580-7766. That's 800-580-7766.
Did you know you can use your own body's healing properties to revitalize your achy joints and get you real lasting pain relief? Hey, it's Charlie James. I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. If you're tired of arthritic pain in your knees, your hips, your back, or your shoulders, this is something you need to check out. Everybody's talking about regenerative medicine, and the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are experts in these amazing treatments.
I think it's hard not to. You really got to make yourself not be excited when it's week one, right before your first game. I mean, afterwards you can go back to reality, but for now, I mean, get a little hype. Rob doesn't know this, but Kansas City actually won last night.
What do you mean Rob doesn't know this? I stayed up and watched the whole game.
I watched the whole game, too.
I didn't bail on my team to go to sleep.
Watched the entire game. No, here's the thing. I am sensible, and I understand that technology is our friend.
Bailed on your team to go to sleep.
Technology is our friend.
Get
hey, look
out of
here.
That.
Look at that. Yeah.
Get out of here. Jarrell showed up. Wow.
What's going on?
I must have done something real right in a past life.
Maybe he's just here for me.
That might be it.
Yeah.
Always Lonzo.
See, there you go.
What's up, you handsome devil?
I'm doing well. How are y'all this morning?
Living the dream, buddy. It's NFL's on the docket. College football's on the docket. High school football's on the docket. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I don't care what nobody says.
We had such a drought over the summer. It's so beautiful to have this.
I know.
Isaiah Likely.
He just had smaller feet, but he didn't. So Kansas City.
I got to
wins.
tell you straight up, I'm super mad because yesterday afternoon Jarrell, I'm playing fantasy football for the first time in 9 seasons. All right. I don't do it anymore. But I had a bunch of dudes with the hockey team that needed one more guy. So I'm like, screw it. I'll jump in. Why not? It's been a hot minute. Let's do this. So I jumped in. Yesterday, I'm like, let me go scan the waiver wire. You know, people making those last minute moves, see if anybody got dropped that I might like. And I went and looked, and there was a dude that dropped Isaiah Likely. And I didn't pick him because I'm like, Mark Andrews on that team. He's the guy. I could have had Isaiah Likely on my squad, and I missed it, and somebody grabbed him from me. I am hurting today, bro.
Easy 25, 30 points there, depending on your league.
Hurting today.
Yeah.
Could have been more if he had smaller feet.
Bro. Woof.
Or as Patrick Mahomes suggested, white shoes.
Chiefs, luckiest team in America right now.
Telling you.
What's up, John?
What's going on?
Yeah. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the final hour of the show, the final hour of the day, the final hour of the week. We head into our first full fall football festival weekend. And it starts Last night, NFL football, Kansas City Chiefs, 27-20 winners over the Baltimore Ravens, who decided, how can we make this loss as gut-wrenching as possible? And the answer is, have a game-tying, perhaps winning touchdown called back by the length of a well-pedicured toenail. That's how you make it as devastating as possible. That one stung just a little bit. We'll come back to that later on in the show. Because Rob Brown missed the cover because of that. He missed the spread by a point. He had not one, not two, but three parlays die because the Ravens forgot Derrick Henry existed for 3 quarters, and I'll never understand that. John Harbaugh, what is wrong with you, man? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, John? That is 2 games against the Chiefs in a row that you just forgot you have a running back who's good. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
We'll put the NFL to bed. We got some college football. Already broke down the South Carolina game on the road against Kentucky, the Clemson game at home against Appalachian State. Couple of games that I think are prove-it games for those 2 teams. We'll get back to that coming up in a little while. But you all, of course, know that Friday night round these parts starts on Friday, when the boys of fall get a little high school football going on a Friday night. And wouldn't you know it, joining us here on the show, the fellas from the Moving the Chains podcast, which you can find online at movingchains.com. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Moving Chains. No G on that, just Moving Chains. And their podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you find major podcasts. Today, a special treat, because not only is John Epps the only one of the 3 that showed up for all 3 weeks so far, by the way. Bonus points to John, because not only did he, but he was rocking the hat again, which for a minute there we were a little concerned. But today, the extra special treat, because Jarrell Hendricks has gotten himself up out of bed, ignored his other responsibilities as both a husband and a worker to be here on the show. Fellas, how the hell we doing, boys?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Jarrell Hendricks out of bed. This is early in the morning for you, I believe.
Dude, I do not get up early. I am not a morning person. I don't know how you do this radio show every day. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it, sir. But no, I appreciate the intro. Happy to be here. Energy drinks always. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Talk a little high school football. Love Friday.
Love Friday nights. Fellas, we got games taking place around the upstate of South Carolina. So let's jump into then. Johnny boy, let's start with you. We got a rivalry game on the docket tonight when Powdersville travels down to Wren. I got my first experience at Wren last year when I was calling a game at Wren. I'll tell you this. The away side of the stadium, it's an older stadium. The home side of the stadium, that place freaking rocks. Those fans are insane down there at Wren. I had a ball sitting across the field watching that home team. It's a good little home field good little home field advantage for Wren. They got Powdersville coming to the house. The Powdersville 0-2 looking for win number 1. Wren looking to stay undefeated in this one.
Yeah, it's a fun Anderson County matchup. Powdersville, a relatively new school who broke away from the kind of Wren district. If Powdersville didn't exist, those kids would be at Wren most likely. So a good rivalry game, and that's what makes this interesting. It's a 4A matchup, Wren 4A, Powdersville 3A. But these guys play some tight football. Last year, Wren won this game 42-39 in a shootout. I think we're going to see a similar game here. Wren, they're led by their running back, Reese Price. He's already racked up 4 touchdowns in their first 2 games. I think Wren is probably the better team in this game, but they haven't been tested yet. They rolled over a Palmetto team in week 0 and then blew out not a great Easley squad last week. This will certainly be their toughest test. Should be a really good rivalry ball game. Should be a close ball game, but I think Wren ekes it out.
Just because I'm curious about that. With Wren, which is not a huge school and not a team that can field an enormous team, when they have a team like Powdersville pop up and it can eat into the roster size, which already they're not going to field a huge team, how have they handled that?
You know, I think with 4A compared to 3A, it's not that big of a jump. Obviously, you know, these schools didn't drastically change in enrollment last year. high school rules, redid classification. That could be a whole show how that went. But there's not a huge difference in the depth perspective, I don't think, between these two clubs. It's enough to where if you want to grind it out and you want to beat them in the end of the game in the fourth quarter, it may have a little bit of difference in the trenches. But Powersville is a big team. They're a well-coached team as well. They're going to be in this thing with the people that they've got. They've got the talent. They've got the depth to compete. I think when you get to 1A and 2A, it's a big difference. 5A to 3A is a big difference. But 4 to 3, not too big of a deal.
Jarrell, Daniel, JL, man. Daniel ranked number 2 in the state in the 4A poll. JL, man, 8th in the state in the 5A poll. So you got a team towards the top of the 4A taking on a team right around in the middle of the 5A. Looks to me, this one might have a little spice to it, a little kick to it, Jarrell Hendricks.
Man, this one's got some juice for real. JL, man, took one on the chin last week. They lost in overtime. At home, they had a big-time game against the Gaffney Indians. Could not get that one done, unfortunately, losing 42-40. Do they, use that as kind of a springboard, use some momentum from that game and say, hey, we can play with the best of the best in 5A and keep going as Coach Watson has continued to build that Patriots program? Or do they kind of have a letdown game? But it's a game where you're playing Daniel, and it doesn't matter what classification Daniel plays against. They are one of the better teams and one of the best programs in the state. I got a stat for you guys here. We got this from our show on Tuesday. Daniel has won 46 straight regular season games, and they have not lost a regular season road game since 2017. The Lions are not afraid to go to Slayton Field and win this game. It should be a tight one. I've got to side with Daniel in this game. Coach Frooster is one of the better coaches in the state. Obviously, he's won state championships. They won 3 out of the last 4 state championships that they've played for. This Daniel Lions team is for real. This program's for real. I think JL Man is still struggling to get over the top, winning that big game. Obviously, they're breaking in a new quarterback there, McLeod Darnell. He did some really good things last Friday, but let's see if he can carry that over. But I got to ride with Daniel until they prove me otherwise.
I like it. Let's keep going. West Side at TL Hannah John. West Side defending, as we say it on this show, reigning, defending, undisputed 4A state champs from last year, and handed TL Hannah their only regular season loss last year. There is nothing better in football than a revenge game.
On top of that, this is another big-time Anderson County rivalry game. So big, both teams took last week off. They both played a game in week 0, did not play last week, getting ready for this one. This is a big-time ball game. It'll be over at TL Hannah. West Side with all kind of talent on their side of the field. They won this game last year, too, 42-30. That was TL Hannah's only loss until they got to Dutch Fork in the playoffs. The Yellow Jackets will have some revenge on their mind tonight. I think West Side just got too much talent, especially in the offensive side of the ball. We talk about Cutter Woods all the time. He's going to be a Gamecock next year. Great pickup for South Carolina. They're going to have a good quarterback room coming in next year. I think West Side wins this game, but this should be a really, really fun ball game. And 2 very contrasting styles. You got West Side, they're going to want to throw the ball all over the field. TL Hannah, they're going to want to keep it on the ground. So it'll be a fun game to watch.
Lonzo, you ready to sow some dissension among the ranks here?
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
While John Epps is taking time out of his ever-busy schedule to be here today, looking good as always to talk some high school ball.
Jarrell got up.
While Jarrell Hendricks got out of bed and put his face on to talk football with us, we get a chat from Kevin Thomas himself that says, go get 'em, boys, with a Z, made a par on one just for y'all. So not only did homie not show up for the show today, but he didn't show up, joins the stream during the interview to let us all know that he'd rather be golfing than be here, fellas. I'm not going to say a word. All right, that's a coworker. I'm not allowed to talk bad about him. HR
I
will be
am.
up here.
I'm curious. Is getting the par, is that a big deal for him? Is that something unusual? Because he's making it sound like it's an unusual thing.
I've always heard he's a scratch golfer, a great golfer. If you're going to do something for me, at least make a birdie. I mean, I don't understand that. I don't understand the celebration of making a par.
Yeah, he says scratch. What he means is he's telling you it's a par while he's scratching off the +3.
You gotta act like he's been there before. Come on.
Listen, I don't care that he's bragging about a par. I get like one of those every 18 holes I play. I'm good with that. Drop the bars if you get some pars. I'm fine with that, fellas. It's the fact that he knew you'd be on, stopped the round of golf to get on the stream to tell you that he's golfing, and then disappeared. I got to tell you, that ain't exactly the mark of a leader, gentlemen. It's just not.
All right. I have a major problem with this because we're having a fine segment. We're learning about high school football all over the upstate, and you have to stop to talk about a guy who's not here. That's disruptive. That's kind of productive.
That's their coworker.
Right, but that's kind of productive.
What are we supposed to ignore that?
If he wants to make those comments, he should wait till after the segment. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he should.
So now he made it all about him, and he's not even here.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, John Jarrell, I just need y'all to see that your boy decided he wanted to be more important than you in a segment he couldn't even show up for.
And it's football season. We all know right here it's football season. Golf, we can talk about golf in the summer, spring. That's golf time. This is football.
Thank you.
My issue is, we're here to uplift high school football communities, the fans, the players, everyone who supports it. And here we have a guy who thinks he's bigger than that on a Friday during the Rob Brown Show with the fantastic Lonzo producing every week. I don't understand it. It infuriates me too as well.
The whole problem down at the 0-2 Florida State Seminoles is they got a bunch of fellas down there that think they're bigger than the program. When your team thinks they're bigger than the program, that's where you start to fall off. All right, we got a couple more games that we want to run down before we let the boys go. Rapid fire, I'll let whoever wants to talk about them talk about them. Let's do like 30 to 45 seconds each. Mountain View at St. Joseph's.
MVP, man. Jalen McGill, that's all I got to say. Probably the best player in the state, running back there. He transferred over from Broome last year. These guys are rolling. They have fast, climbed up the polls in the 3A ranks. They're going to be a legitimate contender. Bryson Drummond, they've got a ton of stars. That's their team name. They're going to be fantastic. MVP is going to continue to roll this season.
Fountain Inn at Malden.
Malden on a 13-game losing streak, trying to crack through tonight against a Fountain Inn team. First year, the Fountain Inn Fury have 12th graders on the squad. They've got a win under their belt. Should be a fun game. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Couple of storylines there. I like that a lot. Christchurch at Riverside.
Christchurch, man, they're getting beaten up. They're starting 0-2. Riverside, they've been an upstart. They went to Greenville, went to Serene Stadium, and beat up on the Red Raiders. Got a sophomore quarterback in Merib there, has already, I want to say, 9 touchdowns on the season. He is doing fantastic. I like Riverside to keep winning, and I like Christchurch to go 0-3.
Dorman at Greenwood.
You don't get much more historic programs than this right here, Dorman and Greenwood. Both are in 5A this year. Dorman, I don't know how good they are, and I'm not sure how good Greenwood is. I think there's a lot of question marks in this game. It's going to be down in Greenwood. Beautiful facility they've got down there. Should be a good ball game, and good to see. It'll be good to see both these teams be good and competitive in 5A this year.
And let's wrap it up. Boiling Springs at Chapman.
This one should be a very good game, but I like Boiling Springs here, man. This has been my sleeper team going into the season. I think they're very good. Obviously a Chapman program that's fantastic, but you get a little disparity there in 5A, 3A. Lincoln Husky, I think he was on your station, one of the players of the week. He is fantastic, outstanding lacrosse player as well, but he's dynamic. Lefty can really sling it. I love the Boiling Springs defense as well. Coach Matt Reel does a fantastic job, but it should be a good one over there in Spartanburg.
Jarrell Hendricks, John Epps, both of them. You heard that? We're rapid fire about. They got thoughts. They got an analysis. They got opinions. They got winners. They got losers. And they don't got Kevin. Kevin's just slowing the whole thing down at this point, fellas. He's in here talking about golf on college or on high school football Fridays. What are we doing?
Hey, we might have to split off, disgruntled employees. That's usually what they do, right?
telling you, man. Listen, just take the name, put a Z on the end, because apparently that's what the cool kids are doing nowadays. All right, and we'll see where it goes. Fellas, glad to have you as always. John Epps, Jarrell Hendricks, the boys from the Movin' the Chains pod. You can find them online at movinchains.com. No G in that, Movin' Chains. Same handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and Friday Night Spaces on Twitter/X, whatever the hell you want to call it, on Friday nights as the games are going final. The boys go live and break it down from around the state. Is Kevin going to grace us with his presence for that, or is he going to be hanging around on a 19th hole in a ditch somewhere?
Probably depends on how many pars he gets today.
I don't believe he's got one. Jarrell Hendricks, John Epps here on the show. Appreciate you, big boys. We'll see y'all next Friday.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good Friday, boys.
You got it. John Epps, Jarrell Hendricks, the GOATs of local high school football coverage, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We are back after this with the storylines you need to watch out for in NFL Week 1. We'll do some college and NFL predictions out the door in the final segment of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Good work, fellas. Good work. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, man. Of course. Of course. I'm going to about every 2 hours just send Kev text about how disappointed I am that he didn't show up today. Let's see if we can guilt trip him into showing up next time.
I love it, man. Be sure to do it. And
where y'all going tonight?
I'm going to go down to Camden Hartsville game.
I'm actually in Charleston right now. I'm trying to determine what game I'm going to go to. So, going to check one out down here.
International coverage from a man whose company sends him around the world, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. The perks of working for yourself, right?
That's it. That's it. Boys, appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, fellas. See ya. All right. Thanks for hanging in there, boys and girls. Unbelievable from Kevin Thomas. Unbelievable. I expect better. I don't know why I expect better.
Well, Trey, for a full review of the movie, make sure you tune in to the Upstate Pulse tomorrow, 7 to 9 p.m. on News Talk 98.9 WRD, the voice of the Carolinas. We'll have a thorough review of that and other things. Including the question, is nostalgia enough? No Odie tomorrow, so I'll be running the board for the second. Well, really, it'd be the first time ever, because last time I was running the board, there was an assassination attempt. So all I did was turn up Fox News. Thank you, Zach. Nearly 30 years. I learned something.
Is it appropriate for 6 or 7 years olds? Yeah,
Odie's not there tomorrow night.
Do what? Oh, no, I think he meant the movie.
Never pass up a joke.
It's a good joke.
There were 6 and 7 year olds there. I remember thinking, is that a good idea? So in my opinion, Trey, I would say no. But it's a different age, different time, 6 and 7 year olds are a little more mature, but I do have a 6-year-old granddaughter and I would not take her to it. She gets freaked out by ants. Sandworms would probably be a problem. It's our off season on the Pulse, where we lose a good portion of the audience as they go elsewhere, and we only have the core people who are not football fans. And that will do as I always do. I'm able to watch a football game while doing a 2-hour show. So I think Clemson and Ohio State both play. One plays at 7:30, one plays at 8 o'clock. I think South Carolina's on at 3:30.
NFL Week 1 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take a look at what I consider some of the bigger storylines in the season this year. And let's start with two teams, one of which played last night, that I'm very interested in. I feel as if this year is a very important year for the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. And I feel that this year is a very important year for both of those teams for the same reason. Can either one of them get past Patrick Mahomes? Last night, the Ravens failed to do so in an opportunity on the road, 27-20. They fall to Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. So will a lot of teams this year. There is no shame in that. In fact, I even give the Ravens credit because for about 2.98 quarters, they put up a hell of a fight, and then Lamar just could not ice it down on the last drive, despite having two wide open receivers in the end zone. Either one of them would have caught a touchdown that would have given them the opportunity to get a 2-point conversion and win, kick the XP and tie, or miss the 2-point conversion and lose, but cover the spread. Not that I'm bitter. Very interesting. San Francisco on the flip side. Lonzo and I had a whole conversation about this earlier this week. I have said a couple of times, San Francisco has put together maybe the best set of skill position talent in the NFL. Kittle at the tight end, Ayuk on one side, Debo on the other side, McCaffrey in the backfield, Juszczyk at the fullback spot. It's about as good as you could ask for an NFL team to be when it comes to talent on the field on any given offensive snap. However, they have had multiple chances to get by Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and they have failed to do so. At this point, I said earlier in the week, because of the situation with Brock Purdy, unless you're just not going to sign the guy back, I don't know how you get another quarterback that you know is going to come in, slot in immediately, and be ready to compete with that. Now, is there the possibility that you can do some offseason contract restructuring, get a little bit more cap, just not sign Purdy and release him and find somebody? Yeah, but I think you're probably going to be rolling the dice with that. I don't know how they end up in a spot where they're able to replace Brock Purdy with another quarterback that you genuinely think can come in and compete with the roster as it is currently assembled. I think if the Niners don't get it done this year, it is going to be time for a big time readjustment of the San Francisco 49ers. And maybe it's Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. Kind of tough to get rid of a head coach who has taken you to a pair of Super Bowls in the past handful of years. Kind of tough to do that. But at the same time, you've built the juggernaut, but the juggernaut keeps getting stopped at the last second. How do you fix that? I don't know. Again, I've told you, I don't think Brock Purdy is a great quarterback. I think Brock Purdy's a good quarterback on a great team. I just don't know what the game plan is to replace him with somebody that you trust more. Because I do think Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's great, right? And so if you got a good quarterback, I don't know what the plan is to replace him with somebody who's better. Well, it's not just how can they end up with somebody that's better. It's, is there anybody that's going to be available that is better? And I think that's a fair question to ask. So those two teams, very interesting. We did get a bit of an answer last night with the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, number 2, the question mark that we have been having so far this offseason and will to the end of the ride. What are the odds of a Chiefs three-peat? Well, I will tell you right now, there have been 6 teams in the modern era with an opportunity to three-peat. The 1980 Pittsburgh Steelers, the 1990 San Francisco 49ers, the 1994 Dallas Cowboys, the 1999 Denver Broncos, the 2005 New England Patriots, and now the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the 6 teams that have been set up for a three-peat. So far, 5 of them in the modern era have all failed to do so. And here's the fun thing. The Kansas City Chiefs, of all those teams, have the longest odds to win the Super Bowl in their three-peat year. The Steelers in 80 were plus 240. The 49ers in 90 were plus 350. Those two teams were the shortest odds in the NFL to win the Super Bowl that year. The Cowboys in 1994 were 3-1, second longest behind only second shortest only behind the 49ers that year. The 99 Broncos were 5-1, second to the Vikings that year. The 05 Patriots were 5-1. They had the shortest odds in the NFL tied that year. And this year, the Kansas City Chiefs have the shortest odds in the NFL, but they are also 5-1, which is tied for the longest odds of any team on the verge of a three-peat entering the NFL season. Can they get it done?
After watching one game, what do you think? If you had to predict right now, do you think that they can get back and win the Super Bowl?
Absolutely good enough to get back. What I needed to see out of Xavier Worthy, we got in week 1.
We did.
And I'm going to keep it a buck. I have been saying to Lonzo since the draft, the Chiefs' ability to win a 3rd Super Bowl consecutively is going to depend on how good Xavier Worthy is. Now, keep in mind, you still got to add Hollywood Brown down the line. He didn't play last night. Now, Hollywood Brown is a guy that has suffered streaks of having the dropsies in years gone by. But you put him on the other side, and now Xavier Worthy, to me, becomes even more dangerous.
I was going to say, just about everybody dropped a pass last night, including Juju got like one pass, and welcome back.
Yep. So, to me, the answer is, there's a very strong possibility. In fact, I would argue of all these teams, I would be willing to say the Chiefs, and it may be recency bias. It may just be that, for the most part, not for the most part, with the exception of including, because I was coming on the air that year. I have never been broadcasting during a time where a team has been on the verge of a three-peat. So I again, the last time it happened was 2005. I was 20 years old. I turned 40 in less than a year, right? Doesn't happen very often. So maybe it's recency bias, but all the teams on this list, I would say this team, with the exception of maybe, top of my head, maybe the 94 Cowboys, are like the most equipped to do it because nothing's changed. You got the same running back. You got the same but upgraded wide receiver core. You got a GOAT candidate at quarterback. Somebody yesterday made a graph comparing the stats of where Tom Brady was at the same number of years and seasons into the career as Patrick Mahomes are. It is creepy how similar the numbers are. They're almost exactly the same.
I think you could probably look at it out of the 3 Super Bowls they've won and the 4 Super Bowls they've been to recently. Probably only one year was a dominant year. Yeah. I mean, every other year they could have lost, and a couple of those games in the playoffs went into overtime. The one year they didn't go, they lost to Cincinnati in overtime.
That is correct. Walk off OT field goal.
So there's it's not like they're dominant by far over everybody else, but at the same time, they kind of feel like it. It's weird.
Well, it doesn't feel dominant game by game. You've been saying this all off season. The Chiefs constantly are in last play battles, but then they end up 13-4. They win those battles, right? And to me, that's the mark of a great team. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or 40. It counts the same for the playoff seeding at the end of the year. A great team finds themselves in battles, but continues to execute and doesn't panic. And I think Lamar was panicking in the last. I'm a big Lamar guy. I think Lamar was panicking on that last set of goal line plays.
We all know you're a big Lamar guy.
I know what you're telling.
You can tell that from the sports flash.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. So with that being said, I think this is of the 6 teams, 5 of which went for the three-peat in my lifetime, the other in 1980. I do think the Chiefs have the best opportunity to three-peat.
At the same time, at least on the AFC side, if Baltimore ends up representing the Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl, still not that big of a surprise. And you could throw in Cincinnati there also. I don't think that in years past, Buffalo could have also been thrown in there, but we haven't seen them play yet, and there are major concerns. On the NFC, the only team that I can think of that's like that's you probably know they're going, it's San Francisco.
Here's another one. Let's look down this list. Here is the list, great one, of the best odds for a number of betting categories. Best odds for a Super Bowl winner this year, 5-1, Kansas City Chiefs. Shortest odds to win the AFC, probably no shock, Kansas City Chiefs at 325. In the NFC, San Francisco at plus 260. But shortest odds to win the AFC East as of today, Lonzo. The Bills at plus 175. To win the AFC North, the Ravens at plus 140. The Houston Texans to win the AFC South at plus 105. The Chiefs to win the AFC West at minus 250. They are the shortest odds of any division winner. Minus 135 for the Eagles to win the East, plus 125 for the Lions to win the NFC North. The NFC South, the Falcons, minus money at minus 135. The second shortest divisional champ is the 49ers at minus 200. Regular season MVP. Shortest odds to win the MVP, Patrick Mahomes at plus 475. That number's interesting because ordinarily at this point, you usually got somebody that's sitting around 3-1. What a plus 425 says is even though Mahomes is the favorite, it's a longer odds favorite than you'd like at this point, which means that award is very much up in the air. Offensive Player of the Year, shortest odds, great one, 7-1 for Tyreek Hill. That's big for Miami. Why? Because while the Buffalo Bills are the favorite to win that division at plus 175, which is I believe, the longest odds of, the longest odds of any division winner. Nobody has a better payout to win their division than the Bills. The Dolphins are going to have a lot to say about that. And a lot of what the Dolphins have to say about that is Tyreek Hill. If he is able to lock down that Offensive Player of the Year award, the Buffalo Bills won't win the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins will. That's what I'm taking from these odds. Defensive Player of the Year, shortest odds belong to Micah Parsons, which, again, if the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, Lonzo, it's going to be because of their defense, not because of their offense, all right? They got CeeDee Lamb, and I'll tell you right now, CeeDee Lamb's one of my favorite long bets for a lot of awards. Why? Because he's all Dallas has got. Who else? They got Jake Ferguson at a tight end. What else they got? A 30-plus-year-old Zeke Elliott. A Zeke that they already let go once because he couldn't get it done. That got let go at New England because he couldn't get. That's the guy you're going to carry it on. Who else they got? Brandon Cooks, who is so old that he played with Drew Brees when the Saints were good. Not like end-of-the-road Drew Brees. Like good Drew Brees. Played with that Drew Brees. That was 116 years ago. And Brandon Cooks is your speed guy. I don't trust it. If the Cowboys are going to do a damn thing this year, it's got to be because of the defense. And if it's got to be because of the defense, Micah Parsons has got to be a contributor and a part of this award. Offensive Rookie of the Year award winner. Keep in mind, your MVP winner, plus 475. Your Offensive Player of the Year award winner, 7-1, plus 700. Your Defensive Player of the Year award winner, plus 425. Your Offensive Rookie of the Year award winner, the betting favorite right now, great one, Caleb Williams at plus 140. Plus 140. That's some short odds. Now, they're inherently going to be shorter because there's only a handful of guys that are in the mix for this. Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., etc. There's only a few guys in the mix. But plus 140 is some short odds. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Dallas Turner and Lietu Latu, both plus 425. Comeback Player of the Year award, 2-1, Aaron Rodgers. No shock there. Here's the one that blew my mind. Coach of the Year award winner. Lonzo, give me 3 names. Coach of the Year award winner. Andy Reid, Dan Campbell, Kyle Shanahan.
There we go.
Maybe if you like some turnaround guys, Doug Peterson at Jacksonville, D'Amico Ryans at Houston if he wins back-to-back.
This is a lot of guessing. So
100%.
So the front runners, the teams that you think are going to win, it just makes sense that their coaches will be in the right.
And again, I can come up with some that I can put storylines. If the Jacksonville Jaguars turn it around and win the AFC South, Doug Peterson's in that mix, right? You want to know who the shortest odds to win Coach of the Year are? And by the way, it's at plus 850. Matt Eberflus. That's how much the folks in Vegas believe in Caleb Williams this year. Caleb Williams is an easy front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and the Coach of the Year is Matt Eberflus, shortest odds right now. That is wild to me. Wild.
So do they ever throw something out? Vegas ever throw something out knowing that there's no way it's going to happen, just trying to get money to come a certain way?
The answer is actually yes. The answer is yes, and they will call it a trap bet. Basically, they will base a bet on something else that they don't think is likely to hit. And yes, they are trying to trap you in. Now, they don't do it often. They don't do it often because it becomes a massive liability, right? Becomes a massive liability because if the public falls for that and they sink their teeth into it and then it hits, Vegas is cooked. All right. So it's not often. I don't think that's the case here. I really do think that a lot of people truly, genuinely believe that the Bears are going to be a threat this year. And I say that because I'm one of them. I am. I have bought in. I have not bought in till 3 weeks ago. I have bought in on the Bears as a hype machine. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in a minute. We'll run up and down the biggest football games this weekend, give you some thoughts on each as we get you set up for Friday night football, for Saturday, all day and night football, for Sunday, all day and night football. And then we come back on Monday for Monday Night Football. God, football season. It's the best. Love you, football. So glad you're back. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I'm glad to know that Brock Purdy is listening to the show and commenting under the name Cinderella. Excellent, Sin. Good to have you, Brock. Sin.
There are some people who really like Brock Purdy. I don't know why you're implying that this is Brock Purdy. Okay, fine.
Kansas City.
Yeah, that stuff is so disproved, like through every season, James. Stop being a hater. When it's your team, if the ref didn't call it, it didn't happen. When it's not your team, the ref missed every single stinking call. we're not, though. Patrick Mahomes nearly got taken out last night and a ref didn't even bother throwing the flag. They did make a point with that last night, Keegan, for sure. And I know some people, what are you calling Kansas City? I've been thinking about that a little bit more. That guy is really tall. So how do you judge where you have to be if a player is real tall? Doesn't that factor into where he actually has to line up in order to be at the belt of the center or whatever that is? Does his helmet have to be there or does his waist have to be there? I'm actually asking Rob, but he's just ignoring me. Or maybe he don't know.
I don't.
Okay. Alas, where are we, world, when the knower of ball does not know?
All right, a couple things that we'll run through the football schedule this weekend. Keegan said, my niece is a flyer for her cheer team. I'm trying to convince her to become a WWE wrestler. Hi, guys! You have our explicit endorsement of that decision, Keegan. James said, I am shocked that Kansas City would win a one-score game with the ref getting involved right at the end. It's something you never see ever. Certified hater mode.
Certified hater mode.
It's just wild how we have this exact conversation at least 18 times a season. Maybe KC wins a game by 2 touchdowns convincingly this season. Lonzo's hair, if it wasn't for the Chiefs, would be like jet black. It's just gray because of the Chiefs.
No, I've gotten better at not doing that anymore. I mean, maybe it comes with age, lack of testosterone. I don't know. But I'm just like, yeah, there's 10 minutes left. We're down by 12. I'm okay with that. Probably going to be okay. We're either going to win or lose on the last drive. That's just how, and I'm saying we because I want to. If you don't like it, I don't care.
Fair enough.
We are Kansas City.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at some of the biggest games for this weekend upcoming. We'll start by running down very quickly the college football slate. Do have a couple of games tonight. BYU is at SMU. Duke is at Northwestern. We kick it off with the big boys tomorrow. Texas at number 10, Michigan. That's a 3-10 matchup in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Texas favored by a full tutty in this one. The Longhorns -7 with an OU set at 42.5. Great one.
Wow. I mean, I'm so glad we're having some really good matchups.
Real good matchup.
I mean, starting off with that, we're going to find out if Texas is for real and if Michigan is still there from last year, even without Connor and Jimbo and all those guys. I think Texas is going to win this.
Spoiler alert, they're not there without Connor Stallions or J.J. McCarthy or Blake Corum or Jim Harbaugh or, all the things that made them good.
They're missing a few people who are in the NFL now.
Texas to win, Texas
by the way,
to
I saw a thing. Josh Pate threw up. Connor Stallions is now the head coach.
I saw that.
Of his high school.
I saw that.
Because unfortunately the head coach had a stroke.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that.
That team's going to know everything.
Yes.
Oh, real quick, you want to hear something very funny? I found this. Here you go. This is former Ohio State University tight end Cade Stover being asked about the Connor Stallions situation last year.
The Connor Stallions, the Michigan sign stealing document.
No, I knew enough about that as it was.
We saw it. They were like pointing up and stuff like that.
I got some.
I heard CJ talk about it before too.
Like we tried to, I don't want to get into, but yeah, we tried to throw a tight end screen and like a formation we've never used before, like ever. And as soon as I lined up out wide, we had one play from. I was going to motion back in and throw a screen to me. And when they start yelling screen when you're throwing a tight end screen, that's when you know like. It's just we never ran it before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can't hate Michigan any more than you already do. It's
not possible. But I don't have a lot of room to talk. I didn't do much. They beat us, so that's what it is.
So Texas this week, right?
What's that?
Texas this week against Michigan.
Texas. Texas for sure.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Cade Stover, former Buckeye tight end turned Houston Texan, saying we lined up to run a tight end screen we had never run before. And before we even started the play, they were yelling screen, screen, screen. He says he knew something was up at that point.
Yeah, I saw something similar to that on X just about 10 minutes ago where they were showing there was a picture showing him out there and like a bunch of Michigan guys already there on it before he even did it. It was a little obvious, but it's okay. They won that thing legitimately.
Texas wins, Texas covers. Let's move on with a couple of other big ones from the weekend, because like Lonzo said, it's a pretty good week of games. Let's go down because we do have a bunch. Let's go South Carolina, Kentucky. Kentucky minus 8.5 now. They were at 7.5. Betting public all over Kentucky. Are we fading them and taking the Gamecocks to cover? Maybe an outright win, Lonzo?
I have bias. I'm going with the Gamecocks. I think Lenore Sellers gets a little bit faster every single game, and I think some guys are going to actually catch the ball this time, and that's going to be the difference.
I'm actually gonna agree with you. I will say this: if he doesn't have a breakout game, if they don't look cohesive offensively, I'm done with them for the year. It'll be a real problem. I'm gonna go Gamecocks, not to win, but to cover. They do have to win this game if they want to go to a bowl game, though. If they do not, I think that they may very well be cooked in this one. South Florida's at Alabama. I only want to know, do they cover Alabama 31 points on the spread?
No.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. This team might win the national championship. Tennessee's at NC State. This one being played neutral site, Bank of America up in Charlotte. The Volunteers minus 10. I'll go first. Yeah, they're covering. Tennessee's real good. Real good. Real good. Believe the hype bull.
I don't believe the hype bull until I see it. And I'm not saying that Tennessee's going to lose, but I don't think they cover.
Appalachian State at Clemson. The Tigers, 16.5-point favorites in this one. Great one at Memorial Stadium.
Come on. I know Clemson struggled in the second half. They got this. The defense may score some points.
App State covers. Clemson wins.
Wow.
App State covers. Clemson wins. I think they win by a couple of touchdowns, but I think the Mountaineers cover. A game that probably wouldn't have been all that interesting a couple of weeks ago, but the Oregon Ducks struggled with the Idaho Vandals. Boise State at number 7, Oregon. The Ducks favored by 21.5.
No way they cover.
Guarantee they cover. They win by 35 plus this weekend. They flip the
You're
switch.
like on betting shows every week. I mean, and you've had your own betting show on Saturdays for like years.
That's also true. Real quick rundown tonight: Green Bay at Philly. Philadelphia minus 2.5. Give me the Green Bay outright win tonight.
I'm going to go with Philly.
Philly.
Yeah, I'm just not believing Jordan Love. I believe last year was a fluke.
I do too, but I think they can get one because I don't believe in Jalen Hurts.
Whoever loses, it will be because of jet lag.
Pittsburgh's at Atlanta. In Atlanta, the Falcons minus 3.5 over the Steelers. Here's the interesting thing. Russell Wilson's got a little tweak of the old leg muscle. Question is it bad enough to make the switch? Do they throw him out there and see what he can do? Give me the Falcons to open with a dub at home.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is playing Falcons role.
Buffalo minus 6.5 at home, taking on the Cardinals. Yeah, I know you're not a fan, but Buffalo wins this game, right?
Yeah, I still got to go with Buffalo.
So do I. Keon Coleman, good for a touchdown in this one. Tennessee's at Chicago. Book it now. I like the Titans a lot. I like Will Levis a lot. Chicago's starting this season 1-0 with the win over Tennessee at home.
Yeah, I'm going with Titans here. Prove me wrong, Chicago. Prove me wrong.
But like the Titans?
Yeah, well, I like Will Levis.
So do I.
Because I like smelling like mayo.
Captain Mayo. New England is at Cincinnati. This one is in Ohio. Don't need to talk about it. Give me the Bengals by 1,000.
Yeah, me too.
Houston at Indy. Houston favored by 3. Upset win. Anthony Richardson's got something to prove that he's every bit the QB CJ Stroud is. Give me the Colts at the house, baby.
No, come on, CJ.
Jacksonville is at Miami. Dolphins at home favored by just 3.5. Look out. Tyreek's going bananas. Give me the Fins to cover.
Yeah, same here.
Carolina is at New Orleans. Saints favored by 4. It's going to be a 1-point game. Give me a 24-23 New Orleans Saints win. The Carolina Panthers make it interesting.
When we did our picks, I picked Carolina to win this one, I believe, and I'm going to stick with it.
I respect it. Minnesota is at the Giants. Who cares?
Yeah, man, think if you had to watch that game.
Minnesota's actually favored on the road. That's how bad New York is right now. With a backup quarterback, Minnesota's favored on the road at the Giants. I'll pick the Giants to win. What the hell? Las Vegas is at the Chargers in this one. Chargers favored by 3 in the Harbaugh debut.
Come on.
No, Raiders. Chargers are going to force the run. Max Crosby going to eat. Give me the Raiders on the road. Denver is at Seattle. The Seahawks favored by a tutty in this one. Give me the Hawks at home.
I can't go with Denver in anything.
Corrected this year. That'll win you a lot of money if you do it. Dallas is at Cleveland. Cleveland -2.5. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't need it. CD for 2 touchdowns. Give me the Cowboys on the road to open up with a win over Cleveland.
Agreed.
Washington at Tampa Bay. The downfall of the Buccaneers starts here. Jaden Daniels is him. Yeah, give me the Commanders.
Yeah, Tampa Bay wins this.
And finally, we wrap it up Sunday night. The LA Rams at the Detroit Lions. This might be the best game of the day. Not going to lie. Detroit favored by 4.5 at the house. They're going to win at the house, but the Rams will cover. This is going to be a tight game. Detroit Lions. God, I love football season so much.
Yeah, me too. You startled some people when you did that. All right, the first thing that's Xing is Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor is Xing because he's going to fight again, and I don't care.
No, that's not why.
He's training because he got in another fight.
No, he's seriously considering running for president of Ireland in 2025.
All right, whatever, dude. Fun, cool. Have fun.
Listen.
Ireland do better.
President McGregor, the headlines. It would be so much fun. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Roman Reigns.
I believe it is because of the fact that Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman sat down and did like a full 20-minute interview yesterday, and it was very interesting.
They Bloomberg, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's very serious. Like Roman was in a very nice suit, and they asked him, more fun to be a face or to be a heel, and he said, "I'm gonna be real with you. I've made more money as a heel." But he said it as Joe. He didn't say it as Roman. It was like a real out of kayfabe interview, and he's like, "I'm gonna be real. All my successes come as a heel, and it's more fun," which is the right answer.
Okay. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Bret Hart.
Bret the Hitman Hart going to be, I believe, tonight on SmackDown. So one of the or Raw. He's coming up somewhere.
Monday.
Yeah. Monday. Okay. One of the ring announcers says confirmed on Twitter that Bret the Hitman Hart will be showing up on Monday, which is interesting because I do wonder what the capacity is, because there's like 2 or 3 feuds I could see Bret, Sami Zayn, obviously, and everything he said to Gunther on Monday is the likely spot the Hitman shows up.
Well, there's also, I mean, I can't tell which one it is. It's either that or the fact that people are wondering if he's going to be on the Vince McMahon documentary.
That's a fair question, because the screw job is one of the biggest parts of Bret's legacy. That's interesting. I don't think WWE is not going to promote that at all.
Oh, no. This is the downfall. Well, yeah, you're right. The fact that, but we're talking about he's Xing. I mean, he's trending. So that could also be a reason why. You can't do a documentary about Vince McMahon and actually have it turn to what actually happened and not bring on Bret Hart.
Yeah, but also as long as this has been a big deal, and as long as folks have been talking about this, the fact that we are this deep in and it's still controversial, even if he knows exactly what happened, nobody's gonna tell you, because then it loses the appeal of what it is.
It's more about him talking about Vince McMahon and what kind of person he is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I think if Bret Hart punched Vince McMahon in the face when it happened,
and
he holds a grudge.
He's recently been bragging about it was his favorite punch of all time. Right around the time when that documentary is going to come out.
I'm sure. That's it for us, kids. Football weekend is upon us. Enjoy Philly and Green Bay tonight, live from Sao Paulo, Brasilia. Enjoy college football tomorrow. Enjoy NFL football on Monday. When we come back on Monday morning, we break down the entire weekend that was and start looking ahead to the next. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Have a great weekend. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow. Nope. Monday on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a
X gonna give it to you. So Rob Brown screwed the pooch and has a meeting that he has to actually look like a professional for coming up at 11:45, which means I gotta sprint home and change.
What? Wait, you forgot something?
At least it wasn't my guest in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's true. But you were concerned. You were.
I was very no car duties today. No, my car is fixed, if that's what you mean, unless I'm missing something. But my car is fixed. My car.
He said duty.
My car this weekend will be the second best car in action. The The first is future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr when the New Orleans Saints host the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Bang, nailed it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for being here. I love you. I mean it. Goodbye.